Jai452 back again inside the land of cosplay, rummaging around and seeing what we can find on Inside Cosplay. Joining me this week is my very, very special guest, the one and only Tinufel Cosplay.
Hi.
Hi Tinufel, how are you today?
I'm really well, thank you. I've been pimping my headset, so I've got flowers on there now.
Awesome. We love the flowers.
Good fun.
So we've had a little bit of issues with technology this morning, and we've had enough of technology. You need to behave yourself, technology.
Mm-hmm.
In saying that, probably all of my computer is going to stop working after we've done this.
Shh, it's fine. As long as it gets the video, we're fine.
So we're just going to jump right in there. And Tinufel, I'm going to ask you, when did you first start cosplaying?
That was... technically, I started making my first cosplay towards the end of 2015 because I, at that point, was a single mum and I'd always wanted to do cosplay. I knew it existed because sometimes you're there, you kind of Google your favourite character or something and you see there's someone dressed up as that person. And then I was like, oh my god, people do that? That's so cool. Thought it was only in America. And then I went to my local convention in Bournemouth and saw loads of people there dressed up. And I was like, oh my god, I really want to do this. So I started sneakily making my costume there at the end of 2015. I was so shy and I didn't want to show anyone. I showed my brother that I was making the hilt, or not the hilt, sorry, the scabbard of my master sword. And he said, wow, that looks really cool. Oh my god. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to do this. So yeah, I made all that, and then I went to my first thing at Bournemouth, and was that? I think that was the end of. That was either the beginning of 2016 because they did have two conventions still then in Bournemouth, or it was. I think that was it. I'm starting to get fluffy on the dates now.
It's fine.
But yeah, it was great fun, and I've never looked back.
Do you remember who your first cosplay was?
Yeah, it's the one I've done most. It's Link.
Awesome. So, who or what inspired you to get into cosplay?
Basically, I just needed an outlet for all the creative energy I had, and I needed something new because where I wasn't in a very good place. I had not yet been diagnosed with PTSD, and you get a lot of sort of real nervous energy that comes with that. Mm-hmm. You know, especially if you, it's when people say, oh, hashtag triggered. And it's like, well, actually, if you do get triggered and you've got PTSD, you feel really bad because you have all this excess of real nervous energy of just flashbacks and everything. And you can either wallow in it or you can put it into something good and you can make pretty things. And that's what I do. And that way it's really helped me to control it. And then I did eventually get diagnosed. So I was like, oh, that's why I feel so crap all the time. But yeah, it's been an amazing outlet for that. Yeah, I've lost the point.
That's all right. Is there any particular person that you follow that inspires you a little bit? Like, say, a quote-unquote famous cosplayer.
Famous cosplayer? Probably Kamui. I know that's a bit, generalized, but I came across a tutorial that she'd done, just like a quick free one of it's just like where you get these acrylic bauble orbs and you create like a light orb from it, and I thought, oh my god, that would be perfect for Navi. And I have one. I actually have two. I have one there and one up there, which were based very much on that tutorial, and I love her books, and I bought all her books. I bought them all on PDF. There was a bundle deal where they came quite cheap. And I really, really like her because she's just fun and silly, and she does lots of awesome things, and she's really inspiring. She's got a really nice attitude. There's lots of other people as well. But yeah, she's definitely my favourite because...
Does she still cosplay to this day?
Yes, yeah. She's coming to LFCC soon, London Film and Comic Con. Which is cool, and I really want to meet her and go, hi! Derp out, basically.
Sorry, I need to take a quick swig.
That's alright. I have water in a mug to confuse everyone.
Yay! Well, I have almost nothing left in my Batman Cup. So,
Oh no, it's terrible.
I think it was all that nervous drinking I was doing, trying to get all this technology to work. So, okay, my next question for you is a bit of a double-sided sword, pun intended. So, what has been the most challenging cosplay that you've done to date, both from the making of a costume and the acting side? Because there is a little bit of acting involved in cosplay when it's like how a character moves, how they might talk.
Yeah.
Or in the case of Link, how he might not talk at all.
Oh, you can play with that.
So let's talk about the creation of a costume first. To date, who or what has been the most challenging for you?
Probably definitely Link, because there's over 2 years now in what I've put into Link. He's just gone through massive upgrades. First of all, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna gender bend Link and do a girl Link, and then I realised that he has this really hilarious thing of like a bandolier, which is the belt which the sword sits on, and that's an issue when you're female because you get this effect called the seatbelt boob, and I'm extremely curvy. I've got all the curves, and it's like I look ridiculous. So I kind of had to figure out, okay, can I actually crossplay? Because that would solve that problem. If I can flatten this, then the bandolier isn't going to look so ridiculous. But then I've got hips and stuff. How do you hide that? And that was unbelievably challenging, but I got there, and I've forged this. The only way to describe it is like a breastplate out of plastic, which kind of goes on top of a binder. It's hilarious. But it works, and it means that I don't get that, because I saw some pictures of myself, and you do have to be quite critical of yourself. Go, actually, you know what? That doesn't work. It worked when I put it on this morning, but after an hour, as things have settled, that does not work.
So just out of curiosity, how long does it take you to get into all of that? So you can like obviously hide the curves.
That bit is inelegant. I'm gonna say it. Basically, it's a case of putting on what looks a little bit like a swimsuit. It's like a hold-in thing, like a Spanx thing. And then I've got like a binder with this plastic thing glued on, or well, heated it up. It's thermoplastic. It just sounds ridiculous, but it works. And it's just this kind of flat male chest, and that goes on under this, so that's holding onto it. So that takes a couple of minutes to wriggle into. When that's on, it's really weird. You look down, you're like, it's all gone.
Where have I gone?
It's all gone. And then you've got to put all the rest of the costume on. And probably the thing that takes the longest when it goes wrong is putting my ears on. Now this is not the ears. These are just my headset ears. Yeah, I found out through much trial and error, put the ears on and then put the glue on underneath the ears, kind of wiggle it in between your ear and the latex ear. Because if you put the glue on and then you try and put it on your ear, half the time it sticks to the wrong part of your ear or sticks itself together, and you're there like, I need to get my ear in this thing that's sticking together. So the prosthetics part of it, that can take quite long. Yeah, makeup's fine. I've kind of got that down to better and better art on that one. It's just about kind of creating the extreme chiseled elf look, which is quite cool.
You were saying there about the ears. I remember my first time doing Harley Quinn. And for me, I was doing the kind of almost classical look of her.
Oh, yeah.
I think, do I have a picture here I can... Nope. There's a picture close by. Oh, no, well, there's that picture.
Yeah.
But there's a picture of me in costume close by, and I would love to grab it, but it's kind of sitting precariously, so I'm not going to bother.
I'll believe you.
I can send it to you later. Yeah. But there is a picture of me where it was my first time doing not only a Comic-Con but cosplaying as well, and I had to work out how I was going to do the makeup. And I very wrongfully did my lips this bright shade of red first, and then covered my face in the traditional white. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Uh-oh. What happened?
When it came time to doing like the underside of my nose, I went across like the top half of my lip. And
you picked up the colour, didn't you?
White white marking on my lip because my lips were dry, but it was
Yeah.
just a massive white mark.
Nice.
So I had to like very carefully clean off all of my lip
Yeah.
and reapply it. And I was like, well, it's a learning curve, you know.
Yeah. Seshi's got a very interesting, Sashomaru, he's got a really interesting amount of, like, he's got like a moon on his head and some stripes here. And doing that, oh god. That is, yeah, that takes an hour and a half to do that. Plus there's contact lenses and you're like, oh.
The one person that I always feel, well, the one type of person that I always feel for in cosplay are the ones that do the full body paint.
Oh my god, how do they have the patience for that? I hope they have helpers.
I've got a little story for you here. I've got a friend of mine who lives out in America. His name is Bodybuilder Matt. Go check him out. For the people watching at home, there is an interview on this channel with him, so go check that out as well.
Okay.
He has cosplayed as James Cameron's Avatar before, so the Na'vi.
God. Wow.
And he told me that when he first did that, he did not have a spray gun.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, dab,
So
dab, dab,
he
dab.
literally had to physically paint his entire body. And I was like, how long did, like, obviously with a spray gun it's a lot quicker, you know.
Yeah.
So how long did the process take? And he said, I was at a Comic-Con and I was up for 9 a.m. And the con started at 1. I didn't get there until about 2. And that was because he was literally still painting come past 1 o'clock.
Yep.
So that's a long, long process. So then I asked him, like, now that you have a spray gun, how long does that essentially take? And he's like, it cuts the time considerably in half. You know, like, really considerably in half. Like, instead of it taking X amount of hours, it only takes 3 hours for him now.
Oh, wow.
It most.
Still 3 hours, though. Oh, God.
I know.
Oh.
Sometimes it's a lot quicker, obviously, just depending on what he's doing. And obviously, when you get to learn how to use the gun, you do get quicker.
Yes.
Yeah,
Get more confident. Yeah.
definitely. So let's talk about the same question again, but this time from an acting point of view. So who to date has been the most challenging person for you to cosplay from an acting standpoint?
Wrapping my head around Link took a little while, but actually it's Sashomaru. I mean, I've only done those 2 so far. I've got more planned. I'm just slow making stuff because I'm a single parent, so I do what I can when I can. And I'm a perfectionist, which means everything takes a long time. It's got to be right. But yeah, Sashomaru, because I'm a really kind of yay, happy kind of silly person, and he is just misery. He's grumpy and, you know, very aloof, and it's so hard for me not just to derp out and break character. And I kind of figured out, obviously I've sort of done Link for about 2 years now. I know kind of how to pose with Link and stuff like that, and I'm like, what the hell do I do with Seshi? So you have to sit there and kind of wrap your head around that and figure out kind of almost, because sometimes people want pictures, sometimes people want like a cuddle picture with you, and other times they kind of just want like a normal picture, and other times, I know we talked about this, you get people just go, ah, you're like my favorite character, you're like my crush, and you're like, okay. And then you just kind of work with that. I can tell that story if you like.
Okay, go ahead.
The funniest thing that I found with that, and it was just something I had never expected, was that whole kind of he's my crush kind of thing. Yeah, and I had people like, oh my god, it's Sashomaru, and they kind of run up to you and you're like, okay. And I could kind of see this girl, her eyes just went completely, and she almost couldn't talk, like I was actually him. And you realise you've actually put on a mantle here, you know, you've put on this character, and you are that character to that person, and you have to respect that. And that was very strange. And I thought, you know what, she loves this character so much, and I thought, sod it, what does every girl kind of dream a little bit about their crush doing? So I was like, I did ask her. You know, she just wanted a picture, and that's fine. She was kind of squealing a little bit about that. And I said, "Do you want another picture where I pretend to propose to you?" And she went, "Oh, no, 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 no." She runs off to her friend, and then her friend comes over after a minute and goes, "Can she have that picture? She's too shy to ask." I thought, I've made her this shy by just dressing up as this character, and I was like, "Get over here!" So yeah, we had a picture where she stood there, and I got down on one knee and proposed to her, and she really enjoyed that. And that for me was like, okay, wow, there is a strange amount of power in wearing that costume. Not so much power, but like that. Yeah, it's just that presence that you get for some people, and I found that really interesting and hilarious. And yeah, it was an honor in many ways. I was like, oh my god, I get to be this person to someone. I have that reaction from someone, and that was awesome.
I always find the reactions from people really, really interesting. I think when you told me that story previously. I think I told you the story about a little boy that I had.
Yeah.
And it was oddly enough at the same con that I had the issue with the lipstick with. So I'm working the con floor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I'm walking up this one aisle, and I'm just like walking along, and I hear this massive Harley, and I'm just like, yeah, there's probably some girl dressed behind me as Harley Quinn, and they're getting screamed at, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep walking.
Yeah.
So I don't even turn to look, I keep walking. Next thing I know, there's this massive kind of like arms around my legs, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm getting attacked. And I turn slightly, and I see there's this small child, like, totally, like, vice grip around my legs kind of thing. And I'm like, hello?
Hi.
And I see a father kind of like walking behind, like towards us, and he's like, can he get a photograph with you? And I'm like, sure, no problem.
That's really cute.
I posed with the kid, and as I'm getting up, because we did this kind of like hugging pose, and as I'm getting up, he grabs me by the arm, and I'm like looking around as if, I need an adult. Is there an adult nearby that's adulting? You know, I know this is Comic-Con, but still, there has to be adulting people, you know.
Adults at Comic-Con. No, we're all derping around as big kids, let's be honest. So,
he says to me, now, I need to ask you, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, oh, fuck, F, you know, I'm like, oh, what? And he says to me, now, you tell Batman if the Joker hurts you again. And I was like, holy crap. Because this kid could only have been about like maybe 5-6 years old. And that scared the living hell out of me.
Yeah.
And I looked directly at his dad when he said that kind of thing, and I was like, your child understands what's going on between Harley and Joker. That's not good. Or
in some ways
really
it is though. Yeah, it's like, no, don't tolerate that kind of behaviour.
And his dad was
Speak
like,
to a responsible adult. Is Batman a responsible adult? Maybe. Lego Batman, not so much. Maybe real Batman, yeah.
So his dad was actually more surprised than I was, and I was like, okay, so either mum has explained or older sibling has explained concepts, you know, and I'm like, So I go on throughout the day, and I actually do a quick photo shoot with another person who's dressed as Joker. And they say to me, oh, can we have like a pretend, like I'm about to choke you kind of thing? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Same little kid walks around, and he just sees this Joker, and he's like, and I'm like, it's okay. He's not choking me, I promise you, I promise.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, oh, man alive, I want the earth to open up and swallow me.
Yeah.
So that I can, like, if the earth just opens a nice little hole here, I'll just jump in, you know, be fine.
Yeah.
But I had to, like, rush over to him and explain, you know, like, it's okay, he's pretending. He's
pretending. Yeah.
He's not actually going to hit me.
Yeah, I do find that a slightly weird dynamic, and I don't like the sort of the glamorized part of it, but I'm glad that the final story between them is that, you know, she overcomes it and she kind of moves
Definitely.
well beyond it. That's awesome.
Okay, so speaking of difficult cosplays and
Mm-hmm.
difficult positions, in your opinion, what is the most difficult cosplay character or thing to cosplay as, both in regards to the making of the costume and the acting side? And we're going to apply it to both your own personal self, like things that you would think, okay, I need to seriously think about this before I even attempt it,
Yeah.
and to other people. So let's say somebody comes to you and says, oh, I'm thinking about doing this, and you're like, do you have that skill level? Kind of thing. So let's start with you. Like, what's something that you would need to seriously stop and pause and think about for a while, from a costume point of view?
From a costume point of view, sometimes it's whether you can do it. There's a whole ethical thing, and there's that whole thing of whether you should or shouldn't wear the sexy ones and all of that, and what kind of brand you have, almost. And I've stuck with the family friendly. Some people, they go for almost the adult industry stuff, and that's, it's fair enough, that's what they do. It's almost like you get pigeonholed into whatever you're doing, so you almost can't break free of that. So if you've ever done like a sexy cosplay, people will expect that again. If you've only done family friendly stuff, people will get offended. Everyone's always getting offended. Someone will get upset because you've done that. So sometimes it's a question of, do you want to do that? And I was thinking, I could maybe do Diablo from Diablo 3. And I was thinking, right, well, I can figure out how to do like the stilt legs, and I'm sure, with enough foam and enough swearing, I could figure out how to do all the spikes and all the crazy lights, because, I figured out electronics. But I kind of thought, ethically, can I do this if I'm kind of pigeonholing myself as family friendly? Because Diablo is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It's this massive creature of fire and just demonic evil, just like evil eyes, spikes and horns, and quite unpleasant. And I'm thinking I probably couldn't take that to a family con.
I think you're in a good position for that, because obviously you're saying you're a single mum. You can always, like, one thing that I feel would be always good in that position is testing it on the child and watching the child's reaction.
Yeah, I kind of would be terrified of my child looking at it and almost normalising that. It's like, I think I'm dressed up as the devil.
I think that's what to do. Like, think about it from what scares the kid, and going, right, okay, so this is too scary, so maybe I change this aspect, make it less scary, more colourful.
So that's,
although how
that's
you can
thing.
put more colour into black and red is beyond me.
I don't know. Maybe with the lights, because obviously there's kind of like a fiery light effect in there. Now I'm working with James Bruton of X Robots. He's sort of been teaching me about like RGB, not the RGB, basically the multicolored LED strips. So you've got like NeoPixels and things like that. And you could essentially put a disco mode in, because if you're going to do like a fire effect, then, you can do disco mode. Why not?
I think disco mode would be like humanizing it a lot,
Yeah, that would be non-terrifying. Suddenly, disco mode Diablo.
So let's talk about the same kind of thing. Like, we've kind of said that Diablo would be the one where we're swearing at the costume. I think I mentioned to you.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I was just saying, I think I mentioned to you recently a costume that I'm planning.
Yeah.
That would require LED lights. We're not going to say what it is on camera. We're going to leave
people
guessing.
Keep your secrets.
I think that particular costume for me would be a lot of swearing.
Yes. Learning curve-wise. Now, I did have someone ask me recently about, they said, LEDs. And I was like...
probably me.
It's basically, it's not LEDs. There's certain things that you need to understand before you can start doing proper light up costumes. I mean, you could get a torch with an on-off switch. There you go. There's your LED. But if you actually want to build a circuit which has your LEDs where you exactly want them, so LEDs are tiny little ones. You don't want this like bulky torch. You don't want that. Then you're going to have to understand. You're going to have to understand basic electronic circuits. You're going to have to understand soldering. You're going to have to know your wiring, what your wiring can take, what it can't take. Your battery, you're going to have to understand that, how many LEDs you can put in a chain, how to do multiple circuits if you want to do freaking loads of them. And when people want a particular effect, but they haven't grasped the very basics of it, to say, I can help you with it is like, this is going to take me months to even explain. There's some amazing help out there. We said Kamiri Cosplay. She does an amazing book about lighting up cosplay, and it is brilliant. And I'm not sponsored by her or anything, but I love the fact that she speaks about circuits like there's something called ohms, which is resisting, sort of like a resistor quality. And she goes, this is how it takes down the volts. It goes om nom nom. That's how you remember it's om nom nom. And I thought that was so cute. That reminds me of like, yes, you need to om nom nom the extra volts and things. So this is the level she's on, she does silly little dirty things, and yes, I understand that. I'm lucky. I've grown up with my dad, who loves model trains, so I've grown up around soldering irons and all sorts of fun and interesting tools. There's things which I know, which for other people they're going, oh, I could never do that. Oh, I'm scared of that. Oh, I'm like, it's not that bad. YouTube can teach you mostly anything.
It certainly can indeed, because I was looking at how to do, I think it was a mask recently, and it was a very particular type of mask, and I was like, okay, so I could do it this way and go like a material route, or I could do like some kind of almost liquid, well, not liquid latex, but something very similar to it, where it just shapes to my head and my head alone, which would be really, really awesome, but it also very, very expensive.
Yeah, that's some of it where you go, oh, you can do this. I was looking up elf ear tutorials of making your own ones, and it was like, you do this mold, you do another mold, you do another, and I'm going, and the list I had at the end by making these professional silicon grade elf ears, I went, yeah, I can't afford that. Yeah. I just went, no. There is other ways of doing it, which I'm going to have to look into. But yeah, silicon itself is a lovely idea. But
I think there's a picture on the iGame Facebook of a Comic-Con that I went to. And I met a girl who was dressed as a female elf from the Lord of the Rings franchise. And she is amazingly beautiful. Like, your traditional kind of elf beauty, that kind of timeless beauty, and you're just like, you sort of kind of hate them for being so beautiful. It's like, how dare you be so beautiful? And I got speaking to her as I was taking her picture, and I said to her, so what parts of your costume did you make yourself? Like, how long did it take you? And she said, I made everything myself.
Yeah.
And she was wearing like full leather van braces, the leather corset, and I'm like, I've been dying to know how to work with leather. And she's like, it's not easy. Not at all.
It is tough. I've worked with leather. I made a small dagger on like a weekend, not like a week's course in Denmark. My family's Danish, and they have this thing called high schools over there. So they sort of, basically when the schools close for summer, the big colleges and stuff, they open them up. And so there's one where they have lots of different workshops. They've got loads of different colleges, obviously. And then they had one where you could make daggers. I know it sounds really random. I was like, yeah, you know what? I actually really want to do that, because it was about making the hilt and the scabbard, and I just thought, you know what? That sounds right up my street. And it was working with leather, and that is some tough stuff. Yeah, you're there like, I can't do this. I need an adult to help me with this. It's so hard. I mean, literally, the leather was like that thick, and I'm going, but yeah, I did it.
When I was speaking to her, she mentioned that before she was a cosplayer, she used to do a lot of Renaissance stuff. So it kind of explained why she had the look down to a T, you know, and how she was able to use like leather working. But I asked her, when I looked at her ears, because she was obviously wearing elven ears, I said to her, okay, so where did you buy your elven ears? And she's like, oh no, I made them. And I'm like, I'm going to walk away from you now because you're just too awesome.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah.
This is the next one on my list. I do need to make elf ears for both Link and Seshi because my ears that I bought are no longer available. The company that made them is in Germany, and they're out of stock. Don't produce them anymore. Whatever. So I'm going, well, need to make some new ones then because they've had 2 years and they are getting a little bit worn out. And Seshi, I can't find any ears that really suit him. I bought some online, but I'm not super happy with the finish on them. They were a good price, but yeah, I'm not happy with them. So that's my test. I have somewhere. Yes, my God, it's right here. I have a picture of the ear I'm going to make. So that's kind of the shape of it, but you have to do a cast of your own ear. So I've got dental alginate. I need to get some plaster, which I'm going to put in it. Can I hear people? No, don't worry. It's just my neighbour's being super noisy. I've got a sofa coming at some point with my mum, and I'm like, isn't my mum coming? It's a really random day. First time in my life I'm getting a new sofa. Every other sofa I've had has been super used. So now finally a new one.
Yay.
I'm 33, my first new sofa.
Yay. So going back to my original question, and we'll put it towards the acting side. What is a character that you would feel is rather difficult to act as, or not so much just a character, like a cosplay creature?
Cosplay creature? Oh God.
Creature or character, something that you would go, well, I might need to do a crap ton of research before I attempt that.
Yeah. Hang on. Is that my mum coming in? Do
you need a moment?
I might need a second.
Right,
Hang
okay,
on.
no problem. We'll just go back in, and we're back. So,
Hi.
we were talking about what characters we think are very difficult from an acting standpoint for yourself. So what's a character that you would need to seriously sit down and over before attempting?
Yeah. Any kind of character that would be out of my comfort zone, really.
Any particular examples? Like
probably someone like Harley, to be honest. I would steer away from Harley just because for me I was in an abusive relationship, and I find her sort of hypersexualization, I find that quite challenging and very difficult for me. So that I'd have to seriously sit down and think about it. I personally wouldn't be comfortable to do her now. But maybe in the future. So
I think it's because there are multiple different types of Harleys. You
yes.
know, there's the one that appears in the kids show that is very like family friendly, you know, and you don't have that over sexualization of her.
no.
And then obviously there's the one in the Suicide Squad, which is very kindly referred to by one of my friends as Underpants Harley. You know who you are. So yeah, there's varying levels of Harley.
So Underpants Harley, nah, I probably would pass on that one. But then it's like, not to body shame myself, but someone would body shame me for doing it because I'm not a stick insect, and just not something I would personally kind of dress down for, if you like. I just feel really uncomfortable because as much as there's that whole movement of cosplay is not consent, you're going to get someone who's going to be a bit pervy and a bit weird. So not my thing. I don't like people touching me.
Oddly enough, now this is an interesting one, and I'm going to squeeze this in here.
Yeah.
One of my friends cosplays male Lightning from Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
And I just noticed recently on Facebook this morning, before we even had our technology issue, that he was asking people, or somebody else was asking people, what kind of criticisms have you received in cosplay? Like, state your worst criticism. And one of the things he got was some girl had went up to him and said, hey, you shouldn't be cosplaying as Lightning because you're a dude. You know, like, how dare you cosplay as that female character? You know, it's not right. And I'm like, who the hell is she to say something like that? You know, like, and he was pretty much the same. I mean, I always think you should cosplay as a character that you like and that you're familiar with.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
to hell with anybody else. Cosplay is not something that you have to stay in the gender that you were born.
No, it's at the end of the day, the big word in that is play. And I'm sure there's some psychological interpretation to be made of anyone that, you know, chooses to cosplay as a gender different to their own, or a species different to their own, or just someone who looks different or acts differently. But at the end of the day, it's a chance to play, and it's good fun. And I think there's the people who have an issue with it. They're in some ways ignorant or naive or kind of hard baked into some kind of ideal for where everyone has a box and they stay in their box, and you know there's only two genders, and you know we don't even want to talk about the biological ridiculousness of that, of XY chromosomes, XX chromosomes, YY chromosomes. No, we're not even going to go into that. No. They can't even look at that.
The one thing that I found really empowering from that was the fact that he said that is one of his, like, cosplays that he's always wanted to do, for one.
Yeah.
And two, it's one of the ones that he's most proud of because he's worked really freaking hard on it.
Yeah.
And
Power to him.
Seeing his cosplay and how hard he's worked on it, and the sheer fact that he's talked his girlfriend into doing the exact same cosplay as him.
Good.
So it's like two lightnings going along.
Oh, that's awesome.
I always think it's really cool. She is a cosplayer as well, to her own credit, and I have interviewed both of them. If you look up Tinufel Cosplay and Coco Metal Cosplay,
I'll find them
on the interview section. They do both speak about Lightning at some point, and but you see the pictures and it's obvious that he's worked extremely hard on this cosplay, and he has every right to be proud of it, you know.
Yeah.
Every right. So getting back to the questions, we've kind of covered in regards to yourself the possible making of a costume and the acting side that you might shy away from.
Yeah.
Let's apply the same question in regards to other people. So let's say I come to you and say, Tinufel, I am thinking about cosplaying a character that is heavily armoured, like let's say Iron Man. And I have no skills whatsoever in making metal cosplays or even like body armour. I have none whatsoever. What would you say to me if I told you?
First thing I'd say is look at the beaten path, already see what other people have done, and say, right, is that something I'm at all capable of? Do I have the money for that? So, you know, if someone's gone like, oh, you know, I've made this out of aluminium and I've got my own, you know, CNC machine and I've, you know, cut everything myself, and you're like, I can't afford a CNC machine. Most people can't afford, you know, so look at what is within your skill set. Don't be afraid to step out of it and learn new skills. But yes, there's things that you're obviously going to have to take into consideration, like you're going to have to be able to move in this. It's going to have to actually look all right, as opposed to, you know, I've made it out of whatever. There's someone I know who just does cardboard cosplays. Everything's made out of cardboard, and it rocks. That's hilarious. It's a brilliant concept, but you know, if you think, no, I kind of want it to look, you know, slightly better than, you know, I don't want the corrugated cardboard effect. Fair enough. Then look at that and go, okay, right. You've got to kind of almost be really practical about it and go, right, well, I need to figure out foam work. I need to know how I work with foam. I'm going to need a heat gun. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that. I'm going to need to do this. And you have to be sensible and go, right, I need a budget. Budgeting in cosplay. That's so funny. Yeah, because, you know, none of us do that. We're like, yeah, oh God, that's so pretty. I really need it. And then you all go horribly over budget and then we can't ever go out. But yeah, it's just figure out what you want to achieve with it. And don't expect that you can make it in a week. You are going to fail. You are going to make something that you think, yes, I've done it. And you put it on, walk around the kitchen and go, oh, I can't move. Or I can't lift my arms. Or I can't do this. Or I can't do that. Main thing I would say is whatever costume you make, especially if it's something new and there's a solid aspect of it, can you sit down? Can you go to the loo? Two basic things. And can you get through a doorway? That's always a fun one.
Yeah.
I've had that with Link and my fairy sticking off, and I realised,
I can't.
Oh, I made... Yeah, it's like a big metal stick with a fairy on it, and the first incarnation of it, I made it too wide, almost, to kind of, I was like, no, it's going to be fine, it's going to be stick off from my shoulder like this, and then I realised, I can't do my shield sword thing, and oh god, I've just crashed into a doorway. So, you kind of have to think, how do I pass through a crowd?
Yeah.
So, basic things of mobility in any massive thing you do.
I'm going to name drop here because I know that this is somebody that's been working on wings, or was working on wings at one point.
Yeah.
But we're saying about mobility and such likes. Alphabet would have been one person that needs to take something like that into amazing consideration.
Yeah.
Simply because he had been working on a pair of wings that was supposed to expand out.
Yeah.
And expand back in.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know, like, I haven't spoken to him in a long while, so I don't know how he did with that cosplay.
There's so many ways of doing wings, and one of them, I think you have to also watch out for the rules of your convention now. Whether or not they stick to them is another matter. I know MCM say, oh, no props over such a length, and they say they have to be able to screw apart or something, and then certain people be like, but hang on a minute, there's that guy I know that has that ridiculously oversized, Cloud Strife Buster Sword, and that's over that length, and that doesn't come to bits. And so, there's some people that, they just don't really fall within that rule. But then there's other people that are like, no, actually, you've got a massive scythe that needs to come down. Scythe? I don't know how you say that word. That's setting. But there's that's one I know that has to come apart, mainly because it has a massive pointy bit that sticks out. Yes. So you can sort of understand why they're a bit stiffer on rules like that. But there's so much to consider with it, and then there's faffing with it.
So let's do the same question again, but this time apply the acting side. So let's say I come to you and say, I'm thinking about cosplaying the Joker. Now, the Joker is a very lively character. Very, very lively. And let's say, for the sake of argument, you know me as being very, very, very quiet, very, very calm, very, very, like, almost introverted into myself kind of thing. That's a very big word. Very, very, very big word.
Yeah.
What would you advise at that point if I say to you, I want to do this larger than life character?
Absolutely. First basic thing is, do you know how to pose for that character? And build your way up from there. So get a mirror, full length mirror, none of this like invest in a full length mirror, for God's sakes, if you don't have one, and practice in front of that mirror. So have a good distance from it. Selfies are one thing, but the other thing that can be really, really helpful is to get your phone, put it on video mode, put it somewhere away in the room, and then just practice what kind of works pose-wise. And it's basically building up the 2D image of, right, this works, this works. So look at all your reference pictures. Go find your favourite poses. Go find the ones you think look really dramatic and awesome. So with Link, there's some ways like in a real fighting pose. You're not just like, I hold a sword, I hold a shield kind of thing. It's more than that. You've kind of got to really get into character. So like, how do you angle your head? Could you do like this? Does this look good? Does this look good? No, none of that looks good. But, figure out with your character what works. And it's going to be different for every single one. But building up from that, then you go, right, okay, you figured out how you pose 2D for pictures. And this could be something you just, when you're driving your car or you're on the bus or whatever, you sit there and you think, right, what works when I'm in a convention setting, when I'm sort of acting as that character? You go, right, okay, I saw that film or I played that game and I'm working out, and I really like that bit there. And there's that, the catchy words that everyone remembers, and then think like, well, how would I do that? And obviously your voice, maybe some people brilliant at impressions, some people, deal with it. It's your voice, it's your face. You're not always going to look like your character. I mean, I don't look like Link, but put some ears on, and I make my own face version of Link. So
exactly.
Yeah, so just go from there. Really, just build your way up from 2D to kind of 3D, and then Link doesn't have to speak. So I don't have to speak, but he can go, "What? Yeah!" Things like that. So I have derped with that, which is hilarious. That's always great. Random people go, "Navi!" and stuff.
When you're doing the character, do you, well, specifically the character of Link, when obviously you've got every piece of the costume on, or you're putting on the last piece of the costume, which I'm assuming is either the hat or the wig?
It's the weapons and the belt.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you've got the last pieces on, do you immediately snap into character and you're like, right,
yes,
voice gone?
I find myself standing differently. Once I've sort of got the hat and the ears on and the costume, and once, the sort of the weight of the weapons and the belt come on, I find myself standing with like my feet in that kind of almost battle stance, because I used to do kung fu. I used to do God, I forget what it's called now.
Taekwondo?
Wing Chun, there we go. I was like, oh my God, I can't remember what it's called. That's terrible. My brain does this sometimes, just completely forget stuff. And there's certain sort of battle stances that you can get into, or fighting poses, with your feet in different ways. And I always sort of think to myself, like, oh, do this, do that. And you get this kind of like feet shoulder width apart, and then you kind of get like a manly arm fold thing. And because I've got like all that like lack of chest thing going on, you can suddenly go like, it's gone. Because my costume as well padded out at the shoulders, so I get this real like breadth of shoulder thing going on. And it's quite funny because I've practiced in front of the mirror and realised, like, can't stand like a girl, cocking one hip out. That does not look right when everything else is saying kind of a bloke. So you have to sort of think how you stand like that. And there's loads of help on the internet about that, about like how to sort of stand to minimise like the width of your hips and stuff. So yeah, there's lots of things that you can do which are subtle but really help with posing, and that would be the main thing which I would say look at, because it was the first thing I didn't do. I'd made my costume and I'm there like, yay, turn up a convention, I'm Link, and everyone's like, I want a picture, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, I didn't expect people to want a picture.
When you're at the conventions and you're doing Link, do you tend to like literally try not to speak as much because that's something he does, or do you just say, right, okay, if somebody's going to ask me a question, I'll answer them?
I talk properly, but if I'm up on stage, no, I don't talk, because Link doesn't talk. I have had some ridiculous thing where they got all the cosplayers up on stage, and then they said, right, say who you are and everything, and I was just there like, ah! I just did a silly Link noise. Sorry, Mum, I'm leaving at 10:02. 10:02, yeah. Sorry. My mum's still here. I'm not sure what she's doing.
So let's talk about the different types of Comic-Cons that we can go to. There's obviously two types of Comic-Cons that can happen throughout the year. You've got your smaller, more local ones that happen every 2-3 months.
Yep.
And then you've got your big Comic-Cons that are your London MCMs, your Filming Comic-Cons, all that lovely stuff. Which the two do you prefer going to? Do you prefer going to the big once-a-year ones, the smaller, more local ones, or do you like a blend of the two?
I quite like a blend of the two, because London ones are lovely, but they are exhausting. And guess what? They're expensive. Yeah, and it's the issue of childcare, which I kind of have that thing of, I don't want to impose too much because he is my child, and I don't want to just be like, have my child while I go off and do this, slightly derpy, ridiculous thing. It seems really selfish, so I minimise that as much as I can. Local ones are great for that, because I don't need to impose on people for overnight childcare. but I do love the big ones, just for the atmosphere and for the fact that you can go alone. And I really enjoy going to conventions alone, because then you can go at your own pace and you just meet lots of people, because you're just there and you bump into other people who've gone alone. They're like, my friends aren't here until tomorrow. And I'm like, want to walk around? Get a coffee? Yay! And you just meet friends, and your social network just gets broader and broader every time. It's wonderful. And you realise how many people actually know each other. It's all very, very interlinked.
Weird. Like, I remember my first con and I met like 2 or 3 people, and then they introduced me to other people, and I'm like, 2 weeks down the line, like after me just being at my first con, I knew like 60 to 70 more people, and I'm like,
isn't it crazy?
You know, it's like, how am I going to keep up with all these people? And my social network now is like massive. You know, and I'm like, I have difficulty keeping up with everyone, and it's like, I'm sorry if I haven't spoken to you for like 5 months or something.
Yeah, it's bonkers, and yeah, I sometimes think that I just need to. It's like that whole private life thing of like, do I actually know these people?
So my next question for you is, when you're at these events, what is the one thing that you're most excited for? And the one thing that is either still kind of nerve-wracking or used to be the most nerve-wracking. So let's talk about the one thing that you're most excited for when going to any Comic-Con event.
I think in some ways it's meeting new and old people. So by that I mean people that you know. So friends that maybe you only see at conventions because you live really far apart, but you manage to meet in the middle at this place. Or there's also, of course, the slightly cliched of going up on stage. I am terrified of going on stage. I have full-on panic attacks before every single time, but it's good for me because it's good stress. Because obviously with my PTSD, I can get panic attacks at something that's reminds me of something. But if I learn to handle like a panic attack before stage, then it's not as bad. It's because it's happy stress. And they're like, I'm going on stage. What are you laughing at?
I'm actually laughing at a story I've got for you on this one.
Yeah.
So this is definitely something for you to picture while you're about to go on stage. So
this will help probably.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm at a Comic-Con, and it's my second year at this Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing a male version of Poison Ivy. Mm-hmm. And unlike the last one, I can actually grab a picture of this and not have everything falling down.
Yeah.
So I looked like this.
Oh yes, I've seen that one. Yeah.
So I'll just try and hide the light. So I'm standing waiting to go on stage. Mm-hmm. And in front of me you had people dressed as the Ministry of Magic from Harry Potter.
Amazing.
And you had somebody behind me dressed as the Predator. And he had this like full working little wrist thingamajig. Mm-hmm. Like the bomb that they carry on their wrists. And the people who were in the Ministry of Magic were all kind of like chatting away to themselves because that was a group. And I was like, well, I can't obviously have a conversation with them. So I turn and talk to the guy dressed as the Predator. I just kind of was like, hi, how are you? Are you okay in there? Because obviously full biomask and all the rest. Mm-hmm. So I'm chatting away with him and we're having a good conversation. And I see this woman walking along pushing a pram. And she just walks straight past us and gives us the weirdest look ever. Like, you know, like the cocked eyebrow, like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And I just like, do you want to take a picture? It lasts longer. It didn't dawn on me that I was in costume and so was the other guy.
Yeah, you just don't even twig sometimes how weird really it must look to other people.
And that's what, when I went up on stage, there's this picture of me for, I'm kind of slightly laughing. It's just because I thought about it and I was like, how weird did that look? A male Poison Ivy talking to the Predator? Like, just a general conversation. I
Yeah.
had to laugh at that. And it was
You
like
do.
really, really hard because I was trying to not laugh because I was doing this whole kind of somewhat seductive skit from the Batman and Robin movie for the judges, and I didn't pose because I had to get myself off stage because I was like, my face was cracking and I'm like, I need to laugh so hard. And I'm walking up the steps and I'm just giggling away, and people were just looking at me weirdly like, why on earth is he laughing? And I'm like, so whenever I do something on stage now, I just very quickly think of that and I'm laughing, like literally laughing before I go on. So I always recommend laugh at a scenario like that before you go on stage.
Yeah.
Because it breaks everything.
Oh, I had the most amazing thing happen. I was really nervous before MCM. MCM's like the big convention, and I did the masquerade there. And there was this incredible Russian woman who was dressed as a fairy godmother from Shrek. And she said, "Would you like to give me a," she said, "Would you like a hug, like a special hug?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could do with a hug. Yeah, I love hugs." And she just gives me this incredible rib-breaking hug, like fully crushes me. Like, I had no idea she was this strong. She just puts her arms around me, just goes full on, and I'm just there like, I've got no breath left in my body. And then I'm sort of there reeling for about 10 seconds afterwards. I'm like, can I have another? Because it was amazing. And I just had this incredible endorphin rush, and I'm like, my God, those are the best hugs ever. So thank you. That was one of those things, and I think I'll always remember her amazing hug, and I'll probably just punch myself in the face or something next time I'm going stage to get the same endorphin rush. I need her to follow me around because that's she
awesome. So moving on from that, we already kind of have mentioned how we've both taken part in cosplay competitions. I'm going to ask you now, have you ever won anything when you've taken part in those cosplay competitions, and what was running through your head when you got called up to receive an award?
I was there kind of mentally checking off the other really, really incredible performances, and I thought, oh, they haven't called me up as runner-up. Oh, that probably means I haven't won. Because I thought my costume was really good, and I tried so hard, and I thought, I might place in this, maybe. And it's not being big-headed. I was like, maybe. I tried really hard. And then I got called up as first place in Bournemouth, and I was like, what? And I just burst into tears, and Navi fell off my shoulder, and it all went wrong, and I just didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, that was just that whole thing. I didn't know. I was just literally sweating loads. I was going, what is going on? And I sort of got presented my money, and they're like, yeah, you're going to London, you've got the free tickets and everything. I'm going, I don't know. And I didn't expect it at all at MCM, where I got called up for runner-up, which was Sunday, which was the big one. I thought, this is the one that people place in. I thought, I'm just going to do that one just because, challenge yourself. And I was there, I was chatting to my friend Bryony, who's Calderoy Cosplay, and she's lovely and she's incredible, and she's won freaking loads of competitions, and she's just the sweetest person. And I saw her there. She'd done a performance as well, and I sort of crept over. She was there, she was as Aloy, and we were there just sort of chatting away, and she gets called up, and I'm like, of course she gets called up, she's freaking amazing. And then they call me up, and I'm like, this is confusing, why am I getting called up? And for a second I had this moment of like, why have you called me up? Was it because I was sat next to her? Did that rub off on me? And then other absolutely incredible people got called up, and you realize that you're obviously not doing that badly. That was really, really good, and it's incredibly humbling, and it sort of justifies the amount of time and effort you've put into something.
I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Struggle with performances, so to get past that and be like, they actually didn't think I was that terrible, because I always muck something up on stage so bad. Never mind, always happens.
I'm going to tell you a quick story where it illustrates just how much of a derp I am.
Yeah.
So I go to this Halloween like Comic-Con event in Glasgow, and I had no idea what to do, because at that point I'd only done classic Harley Quinn. And I was like sitting like maybe the night before thinking, right, how am I going to make Harley Quinn look Halloween-like? And The Nightmare Before Christmas actually pops up on television. Sorry. So I'm like, how can I make Harley Quinn look like nightmare? Well, not nightmarish, but Halloweenish. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And I look at Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm like, she is one of my favorite characters.
Oh, she's great.
Movie. And I was like, okay, so maybe I do like stitches on my face, like just with face paint, and what can I do to the costume? And I'm sitting actually playing with red ribbon at the time. And I was like, red ribbon. Pin that onto my jacket and I'm good to go. So we go along to the event, and there's this amazing girl from Kill la Kill who got second place, and this amazing crossplay girl who did Mulan, but it was Mulan as Pink.
Wow. Yeah.
And I remember getting the chance to speak to her, and she stayed in character the entire time.
Wow.
Like, she would introduce herself as Mulan, but then correct herself and say, I'm Ping, Ping. You know, and she was so fantastic, and her armour looked like so real. She got first place, and I think everybody agreed, you know, she had to get first place. She went all out for it. So I'm like filming the event for iGame, and I'm like, oh, look at the girl who got first and second place, they're like amazing. And the person who was emceeing it was one of my friends, and she's like, and we'd like to welcome back to the stage Patchwork Harley, which was the character name I gave for the day. And I'm looking around and I'm going, is there another Patchwork Harley here? And I'm like, there's a whole silence for 10 or so minutes, and I'm looking around trying to find this other person. And my friend standing next to me, who's like this zombie Joker, says to me, that's you. And I'm like, no, it's not me. Kidding me? This is like very poorly thrown together costume. It's not me. It's not me. You're talking piss, you know. And he's like, no, it's you. Go. And I'm like, what? And there's pictures of us on stage, and I think after I came off stage, I'm literally shaking because it's the first time I'd won anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, me? Good?
Yeah. It's time, hon. I've got to go pick little dude up. But
we will be back with the other half of this interview very soon, guys.
Yeah.
So, to be continued.
To be continued.
We're back with part 2, guys. So, hi, Tinufel.
Hey.
So, last time I asked you what was the most nerve-wracking thing that you find when you when you go to a Comic-Con event. I should have actually looked to see if we recorded that. We probably did. So, but just in case we didn't, so what is one thing that you still find most nerve-wracking when doing a Comic-Con event?
I enjoy most of it. The thing I find nerve-wracking is definitely do the masquerade. That bit will just terrify the hell out of me. It's good. It's kind of good stress. So it's something I challenge myself to do. But at the same time, it is terrifying because you get that whole primordial kind of primeval even. Primordial's a bit further back. You get that whole primeval fear of death. Thing of like, you're going to go on stage, you're going to embarrass yourself, and that's it. You know, you're going to be an outcast for the rest of your life because you've just ballsed up so bad on stage. And my trademark is pretty much to balls up something on stage. So if it's like I forgot to switch Navi on, which I did on MCM, the big stage, and I'm there, I'm like, I really must conserve battery life because she's brightest for like the first half hour on the battery she's on. So I switched it off, and I'm like, okay, it's getting close to stage. Switch it on. And then about 2 minutes before I was going on, I was like, I need to switch off to conserve battery life. Did I remember to switch it back on?
No.
So I'm going on there, and it's only when I sort of turn around and give like part of my performance was to like look at Navi because she's having a fit, and I go, oh, she's not switched on, and she's not flapping, and it's all like, my gimmick is gone. She was supposed to be the light up. Now she's just like a plastic ball on stick. Fail. So when I got off stage, I sort of quietly switched her on, and there's like 30 LEDs lighting up. Everyone else who's waiting at the stage at the side who's all done their performance, light them up like a blue sun, and they're like, I failed. So yeah, just ballsing up in some horrendous way on stage is usually the thing that I'm most scared of. And
to make you feel a little better on that ballsing up, I've done that. I totally did that.
Everyone does.
You know how we go through our little kind of session on stage, like we go on, we do a little bit of a skit, and then we pose for the judges. I think I might have told you this story.
Maybe.
So this is the same year that I was telling you about, where I was dressed as Poison Ivy, and I was having the conversation with the Predator, and the people from the Ministry of Magic were in front of me.
Yeah.
And the mother passed by, and she's like, huh? You know, like, what? So we get closer to the stage, and the Ministry of Magic has just come off. I go on. I do the little skit from the Batman and Robin movie, and then without actually really realising it, I put the microphone down and I just swan off. I didn't pause or anything, and it wasn't until I was walking up towards the area where I was sitting before actually queuing, I was like, I forgot to do something there.
Yeah.
What was it I forgot to do? You know, and then when I eventually got to where I was sitting, I was like, I forgot to pause. Oops.
It's It's alright. The first time I ever went on stage as Link, I had zero clue what I was doing. I literally turned up, and they didn't have enough people to fill the stage. They were like, "Yay, we got space. Come ahead, join the masquerade." And it was my first ever incarnation of Link. And like I said, I'd never done this before. I didn't know anything about it. I thought like you just go on. It's like a costume parade, and you show your costume and you leave. So I'm like third in the queue or something. I don't know how that happened. There were loads of people behind me, and I didn't know what I was doing because there was no one to really show me. And then I think there were some kids that did Mario or something before me, and they're like, "Oh God, they've got like a whole performance. Am I supposed to have a performance?" But I had a gimmick that my sword was an umbrella, and I had to tie it I had to put like a string around it to get it to fit in the sheath. Otherwise, it was just too bulky to fit in there. It was a slight design fail. But I thought you weren't allowed to bring weapons, so I brought an umbrella, and I go up on stage and put my arms in a T-pose, spin around, because I'm thinking, you want to look at my costume from all sides, right? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have a gimmick, because you're not allowed to bring weapons, right? So I've got this umbrella sword. I take it out. I can't get the bloody tie off it. I'm on the stage for like a grand total of about 8 seconds, because I'm just there like, everything goes so fast. Can't get it up, can't open it, can't even have like the gimmick umbrella. I'm like, meh, and just run off.
I think that's one of the things that a lot of new cosplayers tend to worry about when they enter the masquerade. It's like, they think, oh my God, like, I have like a 10-minute block, and they think, oh, that's all the time in the world. Like, what can you do with that extra 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Because they always seem to think that it doesn't take 5 minutes to look at a costume. It's not just a costume you're looking at.
The only ones I've ever been to are like 2 minutes. That's so fast.
I know. It literally just flies in like that, and you just think, where did that time go, you know? But yeah, like when you're more accustomed to doing these kind of masquerades, you just think 10 minutes is not enough to do everything I want to do on stage. It's just not enough. Or if you're like some cosplayers, you think, yeah, 10 minutes is way too much. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Speaking of the masquerades, have you, obviously you've taken part in it.
Yep.
And my question for you now is, have you ever won anything while doing the masquerades? And if so, what was running through your head the first time you won something?
first time I won something was Bournemouth, and this is my local one, and I'd put freaking tons of effort in, and I just remember seeing everyone else being called and thinking, you know what, I've done a really good job. Maybe I'll be called. And then, like, my name hadn't been called in sort of the runners-up, and I'm there thinking, oh, probably not then. And then they call my name as the winner, and I'm just there like, oh my God, I won! And it was that whole kind of feeling of I don't know sort of the right word to sort of say, but it's like all that work that you put in paid off. It's like the biggest kind of pat on the back to say, well done. As much as you think I've balls up my performance because I did. I kind of missed a cue on my music and I don't know what, and just to sort of go up on stage, and at this point I'm just sort of having a shaky meltdown, and Navi, who was at that point, she was attached to my shoulder with magnets and sort of some fishing wire as an emergency. So the magnets had popped. She's dangling by the fishing wire, and they're like, oh my God, Navi's drunk, and I'm just kind of crying, and they're like, do you have any words to say? And I'm like, I couldn't speak. I was just gone because I just...
Do you know what you should have said at that point? You should have just stamped your foot or tapped your sword, because remember, Link is mute. And then just pointed to the fairy and went,
drunk fairy.
Drunk fairy.
Yeah. It was I think I may have mentioned something to the guy calling. It was like, Navi's drunk because I'm there, sort of, because I can suddenly feel her slapping on my shoulder. I'm like, whoa, come back. But yeah, it was... I'd sort of been through hell. I really had. I'd been through a really nasty divorce and not a nice relationship at all, which has left me with some mental scars. And it's kind of been all that bad energy, which I turned into just saying, you know what, I've got all this energy. I've got to create something. I've always been really creative. I'm like, sod it, I'm going to do this cosplay thing because I've always wanted to, and it just looks cool. So sod it, how bad can it get, And actually it went really, really well. So all that bad suddenly turned into something good, and it was just incredible. And then they invited me, because I won that, that's Showmasters, they gave me free tickets to London Film and Comic Con. And I went up on stage there again. I'm like, oh. And I won second place. So
awesome.
That was awesome. And then they invited me back to be a guest at Bournemouth, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm lording it over my minions now. What is this?
So before we go too deep into that, there is one other thing related to the Cosplay Masquerade that I want to ask you. Have you ever been invited to judge at a Cosplay Masquerade, and what was that like?
I've done it a few times now. Basically, often when you're guesting, you sort of end up helping out with lots of other things. So judging is usually one of them. So you can there's a couple of things you can do pre-judging with it. Some places don't do it, some places do. Actually, I think most places do now, but it's humbling. It's really, really humbling and really incredible to see all these people come in. And I love the pre-judging bit because it's usually a sort of a 2-minute or 3-minute time slot. And you just get someone in, and sometimes they're just like, I made this, honest, and they're just super nervous about the whole thing. And I'm like, yeah, I can relate to the nervousness here. And so you have to go like head to toe, tell me what you've made, to sort of get them speaking. Because otherwise, people who've genuinely slogged their guts out making this, sitting alone, sewing with their feet, like curled up under them for hours and hours as they're like sewing something, whatever they're doing, burning themselves in heat guns, that's what they're called. Glue guns, heat guns, I can't speak. And they're just there, and for that 2 minutes they're going, and you can just tell, you're like, oh, it's okay, look, and so you guide them through it, and that's, I really I love that side of it where you can see how human it is and how awesome, how creative people are. And then the actual judging it, that's so hard when you're actually there and they're all doing their performances on stage, because you're there going, right, most of these were really, really freaking good. Which one's the best? It's basically like saying to the others, you're bad. which is not the case, because they're like, you've all done so bloody well. I'm really sorry, and it's not like to say the rest of you were bad, but we have to pick a winner, and it's hard, and you're always going to break some hearts. You are, and I've seen people before. There was one event I went to, and there's one girl, she'd done the most incredible costume, and I'd even helped her fix it because it had broken the day before. We had like a cosplay repair station, like
No.
I know, and I'm there like, no, don't worry. And I'm there helping. I'm literally physically gluing her in there, going like, no, don't worry. Look, trust me, I'm going to do the neatest job as possible. And I really helped sort of put it together. And I'm just there like, your costume is absolutely beautiful. And I'm like, if we could pick another winner, you'd be there. But it's little things that like, maybe her performance aspect wasn't quite as strong as someone else who absolutely nailed their performance and got a massive reaction. And they're like, okay, so her costume technically wasn't as beautiful, but she embodied her character so well and got such a fantastic reaction. It's like you've almost got to add up all the points and the different things. And it seems unfair because I know how much I struggle with performance. Mm-hmm. And I always brought something up on stage. So I'm there like, I love you. You're so like me. And I'm really sorry because I'm like, I can't give it to you, because the other judges as well, because there's usually a couple of us where they're sort of conferring. They're like, really good costume, performance not that interesting, and we're there like, yeah. So you kind of have to score each, like you kind of score it out of a couple of marks there. So it's really hard to discount people. That's the bit I find really hard, because people do such good bloody jobs, and I'm like,
like I remember, I can't remember what particular year it was, but I remember one of my friends was judging, and I was actually in the like kind of cosplay masquerade at that point, and I was looking around at all the other costumes and going, I do not envy the judges this year. I really don't, because it looks really, really hard to judge. I think it was the year I actually did Poison Ivy, when I was saying to you about the guy who did the Predator and the people who did the Ministry of Magic. The guy who did the Predator had literally gone all out.
Wow.
Like, all out. He was so amazingly cool looking. Like, I think I said to you at one point about the bomb that they carry on their wrist. Yeah. And he actually flipped it at one point, and you could see the Predator like numbers on it.
Wow.
And I was like, how on earth did you do that? Because it couldn't have been easy. You must have like did the freeze frame so many times to see which number looked like what.
Yeah.
And he didn't win, and I was like, the hell, how could he not win? How could he not get something?
Sometimes one of the things that the judges sort of you have to watch out for. I mean, there's obviously rules within a masquerade, so people who've bought their costume, or just basically got a t-shirt and gone and done something with it. It's taken them 2 seconds. That's not classed as heavily as a costume that you've sat there and slogged your guts out for the best part of 6 months making, from scratch. I'm not saying you've been there spinning spinning the wool or whatever, hand growing the cotton. But I think it's important to recognise that there's people who are literally doing every single part of it themselves, and that's sort of important. And I think it's nice when you have almost different categories, so you can say, look, well, some people have done an awesome performance. So like, say if the Predator guy, I'm not saying he did buy it, but if he had bought this costume, but he absolutely embodied the Predator and was terrifying on stage, and you could almost hear Arnold Schwarzenegger in the background. If someone was that good, you'd be like, well, that's obviously like an awesome performance part, but we can't give it to you for costume part because you didn't make it, and we're looking at people who made it. So that's one thing I've found. That's the weird thing, that you'll have people, I know, for example, when I've been guesting the Showmasters, they're like, no, you've got to have made 80% of the costume. And you're there judging, and they're like, we're having a prejudge, and we're like, I'm just going to come up and basically touch you and just look at your costume. And there's people who are there like, oh yeah, I made this, and we're like,
no, you didn't.
I can see the washing instructions label. Of course you made it. Don't challenge them. And you're like, did not make. But it's disappointing, and it's because some people kind of they want the prize money, which, you know, they sometimes give, you know, they can give sort of about 200 quid or more, depending on which one you're in. And people, they're like, I just want to win the prize. And you're like, you would still win the performance aspect if you hadn't lied. You know, if you'd said, yeah, well, I bought this, or I've had someone, you know, help me make it, or whatever, that's fine.
I think there's such a stigma about... I think there's such a stigma about buying certain parts of your cosplay.
Yeah.
And...
I've got nothing against it, but...
Yeah, a lot of judges, like, a lot of people, when I ask them if they've judged, they kind of say, like, we have no issues about people buying certain things. You know, it's not frowned upon.
No.
Obviously, you know, if you're going in with a full bot outfit, then it is kind of slightly frowned upon, because you didn't really make it as such.
It's the thing, like, if you're going into a category where it's like, where the rules are basically, I made it, you know, I've done everything on this, and then for someone to go and just, you know, throw a couple of £100 at someone on Etsy, or, you know, just click buttons on the internet basically and go like, ta-da, receive a package through the door, I am now this character, and go like, yes, I made this costume, and you're like, but you didn't though. That's not fair on the people who have actually made the costume, and enter a different competition then, if that's what you're after. But some people just get greedy, and they misinterpret the rules. It's like, that's not the point of it. The point of it is to celebrate the people who have made it. You know, well, go and learn how to make it then. If you really want to enter and win that competition, you're lying, which, yeah, that's not all right. But it depends on the rules of the competition. That's the thing.
So moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
In your opinion, what is the best and worst things a new cosplayer can do when they're getting ready to go to a cosplay event? So let's say maybe 2 of the best things that they can do.
Yep.
And 2 of the worst things that they can do. And for those of you who frequent these interviews, you know I normally say the 3 best things, but we're going to narrow it down to 2.
Narrow it down to 2. That's fair enough. You and I have been jibber-jabbering enough anyway. 2 best things. First one, be organised. Oh, it's so sad. So have like a list of all the different parts of your costume and tick it off as you're packing it or putting it on. Because I've done this before. I've got halfway to a convention. Thank God it's my local one. I've gone, Link has a shield, right? I forgot my shield. So I'm like, I need my shield. This is a dumb move. So I had to turn around the car and, you know, pick it up and go back. The other thing is, gosh. Well, aside from be organised, if you're going to go into a competition, can you iron your costume? I see some people with the most beautiful costume, and I'm like, but you've never ironed it. It's like a screwed up rag. It looks beautiful. The fabric is beautiful. Why would you do this to yourself? That's my 2 bits of advice there. Just iron your bloody costume.
Funny you should say that. Funny you should say that, because one of the costumes I was working on recently was my version of a Suicide Squad Harley. And this is after the one that I did before we knew what she looked like in the movie. So I was like working on this kind of t-shirt. I got my cousin to get me a skin tight, stretchy white t-shirt. And I like pulled up the arms, sewed them in, and started to like think, right, how am I going to dye it? Because she has the red up here and then blue on the sleeve, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? So I was looking around on the internet, as you do, for fabric dye, and I found this really cool, awesome fabric dye, which is nowhere close to me at the moment, because of course it's not.
Of course. No, you didn't know you were going to talk about that.
Yeah, of course it's, like, I actually have stored it away because I was rearranging my room recently.
Yep.
As the viewers can tell, you can see a massive poster of Harley right there.
Really? Listen, that's my face here.
Yeah, and Tinufel's face there. So we've got a massive poster of Harley in a picture frame, which is a holographic one that changes from whatever to whatever. That just sits behind my head, of course. So I was looking at these fabric dyes and I was like, okay, I need to get these fabric dyes, and I ordered a blue and red one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very like artistic in that sense, and I got this massive brush from my aunt. It's like an ink brush,
Mm-hmm.
so it's two-sided. It now has a permanent red dye on one end and a permanent blue dye on one end. It was just good. It was such a good thing that my aunt was just like, here, just take the brush, you know, because I already have one and I don't need two.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, thank you. And then when doing it, I was like, oh shit, the dye is never going to come out of this. It's a good thing she
Dyed the
doesn't want
bristles,
it
didn't you?
back.
Nice.
I'll show you after we kind of finish here. So actually, I'm going to quickly grab this costume. So
Yep.
1 second, guys. Just stretching off camera to grab this, and I did. Good, awesome. Didn't actually throw my headset off either. Wonderful. So I'm actually going to take you through the t-shirt first, because there's like a gajillion parts of this costume. So here's the t-shirt. As you can see, I've got the arm bits done.
Uh-huh.
That's like that side. Na, 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 na.
Look at that. That's really cool. That's really good.
And then the centre part of it, obviously, you've got the red on one side. Now, she has red all the way across.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've got a lot of blue, and it seems stupid, so I'm going to do one side red,
Yeah.
one side blue, and then the little monster,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
That's really
lovely.
Oh, wow. Look at you go. That's really, really good.
And then if we flip it round, we've got
Oh my
the red and blue
goodness.
on
Yeah.
opposite sides, because like we've got the front side of this bit red, so I was like blue,
Mm-hmm.
red, and then down by the edge,
All the ha-has.
all the ha-has. Now the ha-has actually comprise of red, black and blue,
Oh.
because I thought I need to have some kind of form that is like classic Harley.
Mm.
And
It's
then
nice. It's
obviously
your own
incorporate
version.
the
I
new-
love an individual take on something.
Definitely, and
Oh, it's
it's
so
got
much fun.
ha-has on like this part of it as well, and
that's cool.
up here. And then I was like, okay, I have another part of this costume that I have to do. So I'm just gonna put that to the side there. I was like, I need something, because I can't just be running around in just a t-shirt, because I'll end up complaining that I'm cold.
You're either too hot or too cold at a convention.
Yep.
Never one.
So I made a jacket. So in order to make a jacket, what I did was I cut up a normal t-shirt. I was just like, right, normal t-shirt, cut the arms off, cut it in half, cut it up the centre, cut. And I made this little beauty, which is what got rid of the rest of the paint.
Please tell me, did this paint walk around the house?
No,
No, it did. Oh, you lucky thing.
it
God.
stayed in one room.
Yeah, it's that thing if you don't expect it to, and you're like, but now it's here, and why is it there? And oh god, and okay.
So it's the same paint on this side. So we've got blue, and then if you flip it round to the back, it has red. And at the bottom of each side, I made silk diamonds
Wow,
and
pudding.
attached a little bell and wrote stuff on them.
Yeah, oh, that's
And
cute.
sometimes even drew a little face. It's really hard to see on the white one, so
Oh yeah, I can see this little face. Yeah, like a little skull.
there's a little bell on it.
Ding-ling.
I think that's easier to see there.
Oh
black.
yeah.
But
That's
I even did a big one. Now, I don't know whether this is going to be seen on camera or not, but I put, because Harley has something on her back when she's got her jacket on, I was like, mine has to have something too. So instead of having property of Mr. J, I put property of Joker and Harley.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Good.
'cause whenever I do a male Harley, it's Hayden Quinn. That's basically her son. And I even ended up adding little gold parts to it.
Excuse me, mute my mic while I
Fine,
cough.
it's fine.
Oh,
I
that's
even
one
ended
good
up adding little gold parts to the actual lining of the
That looks really
the top
nice.
itself. So, and this had to be ironed. Like, the paint came with instructions saying, let it... Hold on, we've just got somebody popping up. Hi, Owen! You got, like, a little shout out in my interview. We will be right back, guys. So yeah, I even added the kind of gold to the actual thing, which I thought was really, really cool and really, really annoying to do, because I had to sew or get somebody else to sew at that point, because that was before I discovered I could sew. So, yay.
No, it's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, all of that had to be ironed, because the paint came with the instructions to say once you apply it, you leave it for 24 hours to let it naturally dry, and then you iron it. And I'm like, just thank you. Had to iron that booger.
Oh yeah, there's always a list of things to do. Yeah.
So that actually has pride of place in my room. Just those two parts set on a coat hanger, on a little hook on my closet, just so the world can see.
I have a wall of fame behind me. You can't see it, but it's got all the things, and you should do that. You know, you should be proud of the things you make, and you should display them and have fun with them.
Totally do. So, moving along, what are some of the worst things that you think someone can do?
The two worst things that you can do at a convention. Forget something really important and just turn up and be like, oh no, I've forgotten my money, or I've forgotten this part of my costume, or I forgot my shoes for my costume, so, you know, I'm going to have to run around in the flip-flops I came in, or, you know, whatever you've done. So try not to forget stuff. That goes back to being organised, because that will kind of ruin your day and you'll feel miserable about it. Second thing is, careful of the company you keep. So it sounds a little random, but it's like, go there to have fun. And you might find out that, you know, you work better walking around by yourself, or you really want to be with a friend because, you know, you're a little nervous, and you just would like some company. Just find someone awesome to hang out with, or find friends you're going to meet there. So try and have some kind of a plan for the social aspect of it. And basically, don't be there and be miserable or be mean to people. Just go in there with a good attitude and you will have a good time. So it's just a kind of a little forethought on who you're going to be with and how you're going to be for that day. And it's not so much like a negative thing. It's just I've seen some people who sort of turn up and they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm all by myself. I'm like, go find friends or come hang with me. You know, I'm sociable like that. I'm like, yes, absolutely, it's brilliant. I don't mind going by myself. I actually like going by myself. So then you can meet new people and kind of go with a pace with them, stick with them for a few hours, or I just kind of
realised something. If we were ever at the same con, we would just sit in like a little corner and talk the entire time. We'd be like, stuff, comics, cosplay.
Well, how did technology. You do this?
Like we would have this entire conversation, and you just have those like the mum type people walking past, going, "The hell is going on over there?"
Cosplay convention.
We might even have some,
by ourselves.
We might even have some cosplayers walking like past us and going, "Shouldn't you guys be working the con floor?" And we're like, "We're totally working the con floor. We can see what's happening."
Best thing I think I have ever done was play Cards Against Humanity on the floor in the middle of London Film and Comic Con. we were all about to go up and do the masquerade, and we had this sort of empty hour beforehand, and we just sat. We made a little ring on a little sort of corner of the convention floor where it was just empty, and we sat and we played Cards Against Humanity, and I won because I have an evil sense of humour, really dark and really evil. It's the first time I've ever played it, but I knew the concept, and I went, oh yes, I'm going to put, you know, all the bad cards together. And people were like, you seem so nice. And I'm like, you haven't played this. Well, you don't know the dark side of my humanity. Humanity? Humour? I can't speak today.
I think that's something that people think about me as well. It's like, you often find that the nicest people are ones that have the darkest humour.
Truly, there's another cosplayer I know, and she is just so sweet. She's just lovely and kind of sweetly spoken. And she was damn close to me in points. She was really evil as well. I was so impressed. So that goes back to think about have fun. Just go into a con and have fun.
One thing I'm going to add here, and we kind of slightly spoke about it the last time. If you are there not as a cosplayer, like taking pictures of cosplayers, please ask them. Because there is nothing worse than a cosplayer who's having a private moment, like maybe on the phone, or eating a sandwich of some description, or a massive hamburger.
Yeah.
Ask their permission. Please, please, please do that.
Yeah. And I think you're going to get creepers. I've had people who even ask me for a photo, and they're like, "Oh, can I have a photo of like the back of you, of like the back of your costume?" And I didn't think much of it at the time, but I'm like, why is he getting down on one knee? He's going for like some kind of perspective shot. No. He was going for a butt shot. I'm like, I'm dressed as Link. It's like a tunic covering, down to pretty much where my thighs start. Kind of baggy trousers. They're not skin tight leggings by any means. And I'm like, you even asked for permission and you've gone for like this really weird just behind shot. Literally behind was, and I got tagged in it on Facebook, and I went, that is not the photo I thought you were gonna take. So yeah, ask permission. And obviously if you're the photographer, ask permission, because sometimes they're in the middle of something. Secondly, as a cosplay, be aware that no matter how you're dressed, there's going to be a creeper. So yeah, that's always fun. But yeah, just deal with it and move on. And yeah, laugh about it, because that's humanity. There is good and there is bad.
I think the funniest thing for me that's ever happened when it comes to that is, again, I'm referencing this a lot, but same year again, Poison Ivy, and there was two pictures that I absolutely love and hate. One of them, I'm getting a picture taken with Liv, somebody doing Liv Moore from iZombie, and I love that picture because I'm a big fan of the show. And when I got it back, I was like analysing every part of it, and I was like, oh my god, this picture can never be seen by the light of day, because I noticed something about my costume that has happened, a malfunction. And I'm like, oh god, this can't be seen by anybody. Oh god, no.
You have to tell me. You have to tell me what happened.
I'll tell you later. In fact, I'll even show you later. So I'm like,
how
oh
bad
god,
is it?
It's not that bad. But I was like, oh god, no. And then the other one is one where I'm posing with this massive statue of Groot. And I'm like, I just don't like that picture. And it was a professionally done picture as well as like one of the ones where you go and pose. And I'm like, I hate this effing picture. I just hate it.
Yeah. It's happened. I've had one of those Game of Thrones pictures, like sat on the throne, and I'm there with Link, and I couldn't sit properly, and it's just the most awkward, like half sat on this thing, trying not to sit on my scabbard. I'm there like, got this really bizarre expression. I'm like, serious face, I'm falling off the chair. It's not a good picture.
I think a better pose for that would have been just you with your foot on the throne, kind of like leaning against it. Like,
yes. It was too early in the morning for me. I hadn't had enough coffee and cake. You just live off coffee and cake. You have to.
Okay, so...
Sorry.
That's absolutely fine. We're going to move on to one of our categorised questions, which is age differences.
Okay.
Now, when I first got it into my head that I was going to go to Comic-Con and do that, I was like, okay, what do I actually know about Comic-Con?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so Comic-Con, from what I understand, is where you can cosplay.
Yep.
And then I kind of thought, okay, also it is where comic books get sold and sometimes live. And some movie memorabilia and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all sorts.
So I then decided, right, I really need to take a look at cosplay. So I started looking at different cosplay aspects, and I was like, okay, so it looks as if families cosplay, but everything I've seen from a family, it looks as if they were dressed up to go to a party. You know, like mum, dad, children, they're dressed up and they're going to go to a fancy dress party. Then I started looking at group cosplays and I was like, okay, there seems to be something very specific here, which looks like it's early, mid to early teens to mid 30s. And I thought, I fit that age demographic. So if I went to one of these and said something like reference to being 20-something years old, people would get it. You know, I wouldn't be looked at like a complete nutter. Nutter. So I thought that must be the age demographic. And then when I went to my first con, I was so surprised to see that there was so many different age groups of all ages. You know, there was babies that were only like months old, grannies and granddads that seemed like they only have so long left, kind of thing. Horrible way to put it, I know, but that's how I perceived it. Aunts, uncles, mums, dads, brothers, sisters, the whole lot, you know. So my question to you is, did you have a similar thought process when you first started cosplaying, or did you just go, I'm going to see a bunch of weird but wonderful people?
Of
all ages.
Age-wise, I sort of expected, you know, I'd been to one out of costume before. I'd been to my local one, and I'd sort of seen everything, you know, from the families to sort of older people as well. And, you know, I knew probably the main bulk of the cosplayers are that kind of teen to sort of 30s age. I'm 33, so it's like I kind of don't fit the young group, and I'm gonna keep cosplaying whenever. And the thing I absolutely love the most is when you see an older cosplayer or a really young one or whatever it is just breaking the mold, or really going with working with what they have. I have seen a tiny Link, like he was probably about 7 or 8, and he was so cute, and I'm like, oh my god. I have also seen a child, probably about 3 or 4, dressed as a Korok from Breath of the Wild, which is or from Legend of Zelda. They're just like these tiny little kind of creatures, the little mask, and they're just adorable. And he gave me a Korok seed, which was just a little thing cut out of cardboard. I still have it. I love it. I was still like, oh my god, that is the cutest thing. And it just had such a reaction in me, mainly because I was thinking of my own child, like, oh, I can dress him as one. But it's that whole, you know, turbo cute tiny person. I've got a good friend, and she plays Olenna Tyrell from Game of Thrones. Yeah, she rocks that. You know, she's there like
Olenna. That's
the bad Nana. She's amazing.
Oh, like if you can, I'm going to say this now on camera. So it's stuck on the internet forever. But if you can get me in contact with her, that would be fantastic.
She's Weatherwax. Is Weatherwax Cosplay. She's currently working on Granny Weatherwax or something. But yeah, she kind of goes with like,
because we've had like you know, some of the guys from iGame, because we've got it up there in the corner on your banner. Oh.
No, it's correct height as opposed to.
They mentioned that when they came to see you, when you first had the banner, there was a lady Olenna running around.
Yes, that's
and
her.
I'm like, oh my god, you know, I want to see her. I want to see her. And I actually got to see some pictures of her, and I was like, holy crap.
They're like, there should be no age. And you were saying, oh, you know, people who haven't got long left. I'm like, to be honest, if you're not long for this world, oh my god, enjoy it. Don't sit there and just, you know, don't have memories. Don't just have dreams.
When it comes to like ages in cosplay, I remember looking at an article on Facebook at one point, and there was this woman in the States who's about either 90 or 100. Yeah. And somebody says to her, what do you want to do for your birthday? Because it was like, she must have been 99 to 100 or something like that. And it was getting close to her birthday, and people asked her, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to go to a Comic-Con.
Yeah. Good. Never too old.
Who would deny somebody their birthday wish? So she gets to go to a Comic-Con, they get her tickets, and she then says, but I don't want to just go to Comic-Con.
You can't just go to Comic-Con.
I want to go as my favourite superhero.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so she gets to go to Comic-Con as her favourite superhero, and there is actually a picture of her there.
That's amazing.
And she is dressed fully as Wonder Woman, and she has the walking frame. She didn't go for the black wig or anything. She had her own hair, lovely, long, beautiful grey hair. And she was just going about the con, like, doing her thing, and I'm like, that is freaking awesome.
Isn't it? This is it. It's like there's no age on it. It's like if you want to cosplay someone who's younger than you or older than you, do it. It doesn't matter. It's cosplay. It's just, you want to put that person's identity, well, not identity, but like their power on. You want to have that on you because you love them or they really say something to you, then do it. Oh my God, don't let anyone stop you. Just, or if they're a girl or if they're a boy or if they're a tree, whatever they are, it doesn't matter. If you want to do it, do it. Who cares? And the people who are going to hate on it are people who are narrow-minded and don't, know enough about stuff. They are ignorant generally. That's a huge failing in this world, and it's sad. But this is the world we live in, and unfortunately, if ignorance was painful, that'd be wonderful.
Well, I think ignorance is bliss sometimes. Sometimes, not always.
Sometimes.
So,
we shan't hate too much in humanity.
No.
It's pretty good at times.
Okay, so another thing with the age difference is how, like, when it comes to specifically parenting within cosplay, you get some people who say, oh, I would never subject my child to this. This is wrong, having my child dressed it as this make-believe character and trotting them around for 7 hours at a time at a convention that is filled with people. I would never do that, and shame the parents on it. Dressing their small child. Obviously, being a mother, how do you view those kind of viewpoints? Do you say, well, my child loves dressing up just like every other child on the planet, or do you have a different viewpoint? Do you half agree?
I would say, do you remember when you went to school and you were forced to learn some kind of musical instrument?
Yes.
But didn't we all get forced to learn something, or some kind of a sports thing where you'd be like forced to go to practice and you're forced to do that?
If you live in the UK, you were probably forced to learn how to play the worst musical instrument on the planet, the recorder.
Ah, don't say that. We had a recorder orchestra. We were really good, but this was secondary school, so we'd actually learned to go more than. So it is a genuine musical instrument. It's just sadly used badly, like violins being the first thing a child ever picks up, and it's like. But basically, you can do that to your child. You can force them to do something, and they'll be like, "Yay, all right, I'll do it." You say it's good, you say it's fun, and then they hate it. So I have behind me. You can't see it. I'll get it. I have behind me a tiny shield, which, if I get it down, I made this for my child. He's 3. You see, it's titchy. It's not a real shield. It's I forget what it's called. Kikiri shield from Ocarina of Time. Now, my child has seen me play this game, and I made this for him. And I said, "Do you want to be Little Link, and I'll be Big Link? You want to go to a convention with me?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I made the shield, and then I started on the sword, and I said, "Do you want to go to the convention and be Little Link with me?" Because we just kind of talked about it, and because we've been playing the games, like, "Oh, that's Mummy does Link," and I'm like, "Yes." And then he said, "No," and I went, "Okay." It's made a shield. To be honest, it's fine because I adore this shield. It's so cute, and it's just right that it's tiny because it comes from part of the game when Link is really small. So basically, don't force your child to do something which they're not going to be happy with. On the flip side, I know that when he's a bit older, if I'm lucky, he'll be like a friend of mine, where they dressed up as Mario and the kid was Mario and they were Luigi, and I can't remember which way round it went, but it was so cute. It was just like big and little. And they were adorable. And, you know, they had a fantastic time. And they obviously, the kid loves Mario and all this and loves Comic-Con and has obviously grown up with super nerdy parents. So, you know, grows up loving all this stuff, which is the best way to be. And they just had a fantastic time. And you do see kids at these conventions going, wow! And they are having a fab time. And sometimes they're in costume, and sometimes they're not. And it's just that key about looking after your kid, and if they enjoy it, power to them. And if they don't want to do it,
I think one
awesome.
kind of closing statement I'm going to make
Yeah.
on that one is that all children love dressing up. And
Yeah.
if
Not
certain
all of-
child doesn't, they will let
Yeah.
you know. You know,
Yeah.
they will kick and scream. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work in a youth centre where whenever I pulled out the dress up box, you can guarantee that box was empty within 2 seconds. It was like velociraptors just, you know,
Amazing.
cause, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the hell that we would have trying to get these kids to take these costumes off. I don't
Yeah.
want to take it off. And I'm like, you're taking that off because you're going home, because I want to go home. It is 8:30, your mother is here to pick you up, or your father, or whoever. Get that bloody thing off.
Yeah.
I have coffee waiting for me in the house, or tea, or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
tired. Move, child. We didn't actually speak like that to them. We were very polite to them and said,
But in
"Oh,
your
you're-"
mind, you are going, get it off! It's mine! It belongs in the box!
You could tell that the mums and dads were more aggravated than we were, and we were just standing there smiling politely, going, just take it off, because your mummy is waiting for you, and she obviously wants to go home. You know, never mind the fact that I've been on the job since about 7 a.m. that morning, and I'm completely exhausted. It's 8 a.m., possibly 9, will be 10 in about an hour. Just take it off, and your mummy wants to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is.
But it is, like I say, it is like that. You know, like every child loves dress up. You know,
Yeah.
at some point or another. Okay, so that's age groups kind of looked at. We're going on to the second of our categories questions, which is the big one where we rub our hands and do the evil laugh. Props.
Oh, yeah.
So, props for me go into two kind of subcategory questions, and the first one is Comic-Con versus a photo shoot. So, obviously it depends what type of cosplay that you're doing, which props you do as well. So, let's say there are 3 subcategories of props, which is, oh my god, this prop is massively large, it will kill me to carry it around, but it is essential to my costume, so therefore I must have it. This prop is medium size, it doesn't kill me to have it, but it will annoy me if I have to carry it around for 7 hours plus. And lastly, this prop is so lovely and small it fits in my pocket and I'm good to go. Again, depending on the costume you do. What type, out of those 3, which ones are you more inclined to take with you to a photo shoot only? And this is a photo shoot that doesn't happen at a Comic-Con event.
Depends, really. I mean, I take Link, I basically have a whole belt filled with things on it, which I've cheated and I've made them travel size. So, officially, you know, a jar with a fairy in is about yay big. I've made them this big. Because it's too big.
It's practical as well.
It's practical, so they're travel size. You know, you can't physically carry all this stuff around. I'm probably not good if I eventually get around to making his bow and things. It will be a full-size bow, but then you've got to contemplate how on earth you'll be carrying that at a convention with the sword, with the shield, with everything. So it starts to get a bit silly. But bringing stuff to a photo shoot, bring anything, bring everything. But this is coming from the same person who, you know, has brought a full-size chest with her made of cardboard to open on a masquerade stage, only to find out that the convention location, the actual owners of the place, hadn't opened any of their cloakrooms. Couldn't put it anywhere. I had to carry this chest around, which is hilarious when you consider there's Link just carrying around a chest and everyone's going, what's in the chest? And I'm there like, this is awkward. Massive chest. And it was literally just like, wow. It was just absolutely massive. I use it as a storage box. So sometimes there's practicality and then there's just what's fun. And you're like, I literally don't care. I've seen a guy walk around with, I don't know if you know Bleach.
Yes.
And they had a full-size Kenpachi Bankai axe, sword, polearm thing. And it was amazing. And I absolutely borrowed it for a picture. And I'm there going, how he carried this thing around? I could see his shoulder was getting red. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, I'm loving it. Fine. And it was just the thing, what he went through. And obviously it was lightweight. I think the inside was, it was heavy though. Oh my God, this thing was heavy. Obviously top heavy. Because even though it's made out of foam, it's that size. It starts to get quite heavy. So I was very, very impressed that he did that. And that was definitely not for a photo shoot, away from con.
I think I remember telling you this story about Lady Death and the Disney princesses.
No, or maybe you did.
This is one where the Disney princesses were complaining that their feet were sore. There was a girl that I'd met prior to actually being in that situation, and she was cosplaying as a character from Monster Hunter. And she had this big, massive blue sword-looking thing. I think it was like supposed to be a sword, but it looked more like a club to me. And this thing was apparently so heavy she had to basically drag it around with her because it was all paper mache. And there was something on the inside as well, like to weigh it down. And I remember asking her how she made it, and she obviously explained every moving part of it to me. And I was like, how did you get it here? And she's like, oh, my grandfather drove me. And I'm like, yeah, but how did you get it here?
Yeah.
Because it was almost as big as her, and she was
wow, yeah.
No offense to her, but she was kind of like almost short-ish,
Yeah.
And I'm like, but this thing is the same size as you, and like, I don't know how big your grandfather's car is, but
yeah,
something doesn't compute. Like, you would have to literally put seats down to get it in. And she's like, oh, we did, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, you poor soul. What did you do to yourself?
Yeah, sometimes you have a great idea and then it's like, oh, practicality. Underground and cosplay. Yeah, London, we're in, 21st century now? Distinct lack of elevators in pretty much every station. And, you can manage it with a pushchair because Londoners just go, oh yeah, it's fine, and they just kind of grab it and just take it off you. When you're there,
throwing
with your convention bag, and mine is like, you could fit a few dead bodies in this thing, and it is chock full of costumes, and it is heavy, and they're like, oh, I'll help you, and you're like,
please don't.
Sure. You're just like, I don't want to carry it any long. I've carried this from the coach through, from this to that, and then they pick it up and you just see them going, oh, manly grunt, like, oh, I regret my life choices so much. Yeah, that's dedication, and also kind of.
Seen them if I'd seen them throwing around a pushchair, I'd be like, don't you freaking dare touch my bag of costumes.
Honestly, I was so happy at this point. This thing weighed so much, and I was just so utterly disappointed in London as a city. Like, why? Everyone's like, oh, we don't like the DLR, and I'm like, the DLR is the only line that has elevators on. I love the DLR. So, yeah, Dorset, was it not Dorset? Something, Docklands Light Railway, that's the one. Yeah. It's like, I don't understand that. Sorry, rant.
So is there any particular props that you do tend to take a lot with you? Obviously, when you're doing Link, you've got your shield and your sword. When you're going to a convention, is there other props? Do you tend to stick with the medium to small size props then, as
Uh,
opposed to bringing the big
what's what medium?
back-breaking large.
Yeah, I generally stick with what I've got, and then I've made the. If I make the dumb decision, which I've done before, of packing both Seshi and Link into one bag, Seshi's armor, Sesshomaru, is just like I can see it up there. I'm not going to go climbing, but it's massive, and you have to pack for the hotel, and obviously then pack for the day. And he has this absolutely ginormous fluffy thing that he wears over one shoulder. So yeah, carrying that is interesting. I've had to find ways of making it stop falling off my shoulder, because he's got a satin kimono, which is my choice because I like to. It's so swishy and light. It's the coolest I've ever been. Lovely. But yeah, satin has no grip at all. So there's this big fluffy thing on my shoulder going all the time. And when you're there holding it all day, you get arm cramp. So I figured out a way of sticking it to the armor, which is, I can take off again. But yeah, it's just, there are things that you just go, you know what? I'm going to suffer for this. It's oversized. I'm still going to do it, because otherwise it's just not right. And people appreciate it. People are like, oh my God! Like the guy with the Bankai sword, I completely nerded out. I was like, you got the Bankai sword! And I did. Because he wasn't the only one, there was a couple of them. And I'm just walking behind all these Bleach characters who've got their Bankai out. And I'm going, guys, that's incredible! Yes, well done! Thank you for suffering, because that looks amazing. So, yeah, I know a guy as well who's done like a thing from Overwatch. What's her name? Diva? Like her robot thing that he made that, and I think he lives in London, so at least he drove there anyway. But yeah,
As far as the making of props goes, I'm always awe-inspired by some of the stuff that you guys do. I'm going to name drop here.
You're right.
I'm always really, really interested to see what Kobe Kicks is making. And our friend in common, Alphabetti.
Oh, he's good,
always
lovely.
Stunned by Alphabetti stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Stunned, amazingly. I love his Skyrim cosplays because he's got so much attention to detail in them. And like, there's certain cosplays I want him to do, like from Skyrim, oddly enough. I just want to go up to him and say, that particular outfit with that particular weapon piece, could you maybe consider that for your next cosplay?
Yeah.
But I think the majority of cosplays I pick would be ones that are very material, and he likes to go very armoured. So I'm like, I just want to ask him, can you do that one, because you'd be amazing at it. I know you would.
Sort of become your headcanon for it, don't they?
Yeah. And obviously there's another cosplayer that I neglected to mention there, and her name is Little Rascal. She does amazing prop work as well. And obviously yourself, because I've seen some of the props that you make.
Yeah, I'm new to it, so I haven't got as far as some other people, and I don't have as much time because I'm a single mum. Obviously, looking after child is number one, so some days you can't do anything, and you can only dedicate 10 minutes here and there to it, but yes.
So when it does come to props, do you A, make it from scratch, B, buy it in and customize it, or C, buy it in ready-made, or a combination of the three?
I usually make it, so from scratch. There are some things I've done which probably would be classified as buying. I have a 3D printer, so that's so much fun. They literally print your dreams. They are a steep learning curve, very steep. Now, I did find a file as a website called Thingiverse, where people just upload these files of things that they've done, and someone had done a master sword there. Lovely. It was in bits, and it totally was not quite right for what I needed it to do. So I didn't exactly make that part of it, but I edited that. It took me weeks to get that right, and it was not a very good program I was using. I've got a much better one now. So yeah, that bit, technically I still made it because I edited the hell out of it and I printed it, and I got that going. But there's a lot of things where yes, it would be quicker probably to buy it, but then it's not kind of that feeling of I made this. It's because I like to fully make everything. That's how I do it. The biggest cheats I've probably done are I got some trousers from Primark, which were the right shade and they fit nicely for Link, and I was like, sod it, done, boom, don't care. But they're really hot because obviously you wear layers and you wear boots on top of them, and a really steaming hot convention, not a good idea. So they've been cut at the knee basically, so they fit, they're not too hot. And the top bit, which you can sort of see here, which is like a little white neck thing, was a screaming white turtleneck, and that was not good. So that got dyed in coffee and tea. Yes, you can do that, and then it, sort of got the colours really muted. But yeah, that's how far I'll go to buying it. But I don't see a problem with it. I mean, sometimes you go, oh my god, that thing right there is just perfect for putting together with whatever. So I've got some scrap plastic from some food, which I thought, oh yes, that's exactly the right shape, which I need to do this. And it can just be a matter of finding things which work. I mean, it's like my little shield here. It's got some old belts on. No, I did not go out. Just stuff like that. Just
Recycling,
repurposing. And yeah, I love to walk around DIY shops and floristry accessory shops because they have random stuff and awesome things where you go, oh, that will work with that. And yeah, it's just how to do it.
So I'm going to ask you about your creation process when making a brand new prop from scratch. Do you do what I do, which is I start immensely talking to my inanimate object, asking it, why are you not working? If you work, I'll be your best friend. And then eventually I start screaming at it like I do when one of my pieces of technology is not working, touching wood, saying, if you don't effing work, I'm going to effing throw you out the effing closest nearest window, you effing piece of effing S.
There's a lot of blood, sweat, tears and blue air that go into yours then. Basically, sometimes my creation process is usually I sit down and sketch them. Because then if I draw them, I start to sort of work out in a 3D way how they work. So obviously you look at reference pictures and then look at them and go, this is not physically possible. Why do people do concept art or create things which fine because it's CG and they can float in the air, and you're like, that doesn't work. No. Or no, people with their super perfect impossible figures, and then they've got this armor on or whatever, and you go, but no one looks like that. So you kind of have to humanize it. So figuring that out, and then I sit there and I do little notes and doodles, and I'm trying to find one here, but all I've got is normal sketches. But yeah, then I sort of make a list of all the things I've got to do, and I'm quite organized like that. But sometimes I just have to throw it in the corner and leave it because it's not working.
I ended up having to do that with this particular prop that I'm going to show you guys now. And it is one that I adore now that it's done. It is my Jack-in-the-Box.
That is so cute.
So all of this is con-friendly, first of all, with the possible exception of his button eye, because it's held in place by hat pins.
Oh, that's fine. It's under 6 inches or 4.
To be fair, like, it would be a nightmare to try and even get them out, so I'm like, no child will ever hold this part of my Jack-in-the-Box, like the head itself.
Yeah.
But cardboard box, all lovely and designed and done with glossy black paint.
Yeah.
And a nice little diamond there. One here. One here.
Yeah.
And when Jack is in his box, we pretend that this... Oh, crap. I'm losing pieces of it already.
No.
Is the top of the box where there is a Joker sticker.
Aww.
And as you can see, if we go around the back, there is a little door.
Yeah.
And we can open it up and you can see there is a cardboard box.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Gotta love a cardboard box.
Hat pins holding Jack in place.
Yeah.
As you can just plainly see the little white bits there.
Yeah. It's alright. If it works, it works. I've got some non-con safe things, but no one's ever going to get hold of them.
So I'm just going to put Jack there for a second because I
Yeah.
need to put his door holder back on.
Oh no!
So this one actually made me start screaming because I had to do the head part and I wasn't sure how I was going to do his head.
Mm.
So I was on the internet and I was like, okay, I have this box, how do I do a Jack head? And they're like, get a polystyrene ball
Yeah.
and just paint it white, do the face, and then get some red felt material and design the actual shape of the head.
Mm.
We've had to stitch and glue this red stuff onto his head because we couldn't
Yeah.
figure out how to secure it down. So we had to
Polystyrene's
end up
interesting.
just-
It will react very interestingly with certain types of glue. So, personal
Luckily,
experience.
it stayed down really, really well. And
Mm.
the only issue we really had, or oopsie, was with the pom-poms. When we attached one of them and I was carrying it home, a pom-pom fell apart. So I had to go
Oh.
and get another pom-pom done.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
it's worked out really well, and nobody really notices that one pom-pom is bigger than the other.
No one
So
does.
I'm like,
No, it's cool. You've got a Jack in the
doesn't
box. This is the
matter.
thing.
It's there. It's beautiful. It's my wonderful
Yeah.
Jack in the box.
This
I'm
is
really
it.
proud of.
Sometimes people get really caught up on making something really, really perfect, and it's like, no, I can do it. I can be a real perfectionist about stuff. And then I realise actually the things that I've had the most fun out of are the things which have flaws, which are a bit broken, and in some ways it soothes my kind of, oh, you know what, I get to improve that. I get to, make that better next time round. And it's a work in process.
That
It's good.
particular prop has pride of place in my room. It
Yeah.
sits on my bookcase, next to my Batman,
As it
and
should.
next to all my comic books that I have. So it's got its pride of place.
Have you seen this?
Yep.
Yeah. All there. So, if I can get behind the banner.
The jar.
The jar. Promise I'd take this with to the next thing. Now, this is just, this is a pot, obviously. Link has a thing about pots
Smashing
and
pots.
smashing them,
Oh
know.
my gosh.
I know! So I did this for
you made
a
it like
masquerade performance, and I chopped it with my sword on the middle of the stage, and I'm trying to fit it back together now. It's sort of held together
God.
with
For a
with little
moment there, I
match.
thought you just broke it.
Oh yeah, Toads broke it, dude. But yeah, back
I was
together.
like, oh
But-
no, don't break it.
This was from my masquerade performance, and kind of a running joke that Link just runs into places and just smashes everything. He's just a hooligan.
There's a really good meme I'll send you later on that I know is going to make you laugh. You've probably already even seen it. But yeah, props. So much fun to make when everything is going well.
This was not my finest work. This was done in about a week because the paint took so long. It's like fence paint, and I love it. It makes me laugh every time, and it makes everyone else laugh. They're like, "Oh, you've got the pot," and I'm like, "Look what I can do with the pot." And I went over to Nintendo with this, and I got one of the staff to throw it. I was like, "Yeah, you should throw it. You should throw it." And he's like, "I can't." I'm like, "No, it's fine. Masquerade's done now. Doesn't matter what happens to it. Throw it. And it smashes, of course. And it's like, it's fine. It's still fine. Yeah, you gotta have fun.
Da-da-da.
So,
Okay, so moving on from props, because they are the bane of our existence, but also something that brings us great joy.
yeah.
My question to you now is, what has cosplay opened up for you away from being in costume?
Away from being in costume, it's opened up my character in many ways. It's opened up my confidence, and it's given me an outlet for creativity, which, I can see something with, because I love to do writing and I love to do painting as well. Writing I've done for a very long time. But, no one reads it. No one sees it. My paintings live in my house. I should probably put them up one day and be like, I do this too, by the way, guys. But this is like an instant reward, and it's nerdy and it's awesome, and you connect to people. It's opened up my friendship sort of social side, and future wise, job wise, gosh, I don't know if there's anything much of that in it, but I definitely have so much fun.
Nintendo may actually employ you as a model for Link. You never know.
Maybe a model, darling. I don't know. They've certainly
seen it happen.
Yeah, they've been really, really good. I went up there and I did a little sort of yay Breath of the Wild video for them. They had this hashtag Zelda Moments thing going, and I thought, sod it, I'll enter it. I didn't have a Switch at the time. Do now finally have a Switch. And it was just basically my favourite moment from when my friend had been showing me the game, and it was bonkers. I dread to think what people have been saying online about it, because obviously there is a certain element of scripting in it, where they get your 2-minute speech about how much you love this thing, and then they condense it down to 10 seconds. And sometimes that doesn't always work very well. And I know I haven't read any of the stuff that's gone on YouTube, because I don't want to read it and have my brain sort of destroyed by that. But apparently it's people accusing me of being an actress, of it all being scripted, and I'm like, it makes sense if you see my original video, but no, it doesn't matter. I had such an amazing time, and it was a real honour to be part of it. And they feed you so many biscuits at Nintendo. Oh my god, the good biscuits. And they had Lilt.
The good
When
biscuits?
did you last see Lilt? It's like Lilt is the best drink ever. Why do we forget it exists?
The good biscuits? What are the good biscuits? You've intrigued me.
The posh ones, which have chocolate underneath, or the tubes, or all of this. It's like one of those selection packs, but it had been laid out nicely on a plate. And then they just had this room filled with massive screen TVs, and I'm just there going, that TV's about 4 times the size of mine.
The next time you go to a Nintendo event, you're taking me with you so that I can see the good biscuits.
Oh, I don't know. This was actually Nintendo HQ I went to.
Well, you're definitely taking me with you.
Building sort of tucked off. It's like a nondescript glass building tucked off to one side near Windsor Castle.
You're definitely taking me with you next time so I can see these good biscuits.
Oh, I don't know.
All the
Can
stuff that's
I
going
share?
on.
Am I allowed to share? Does Link share biscuits? Yeah.
Okay, so my next question for you is a little bit of an interesting one. Who are you going to be for your next Comic-Con event? The cosplay that you're currently working on, for after an event, so next one after that, and somebody who you might do either later on this year towards the end of the year, or something that we might see 2019. Oh god, it sounds so weird saying that.
Yeah, I am slow.
So-
I've got you coughing as well.
Sorry. Who are you going to be for your next event?
My next event is happening in March, which is Cos Expo, which is in Reading, which is this kind of new convention that started, and I have high hopes because it sounds good. I'm not sure what I'm bringing along. I'll probably bring Link or Seshi because they're done and I don't have to worry about it. I've got a secret thing I'm working on, which isn't so much a cosplay as a massive prop, is the way I could describe it. Moving one, which I'm doing as a joint thing with someone who's pretty cool. You might know him. He's James Bruton of X Robots. He's got about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. We met at Totten, and he said, "Do you want to do a project together?" I said, "Yes, let's do this." So we're doing a secret project, which is 3D printed and fun. I can't say hard work. It's really good. The next ones that I want to do, I've got 2, which I have got the fabric for.
But you're umming over on which one you're wanting to do more?
Yeah, 2. I've got Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon. I'm finally going to be a girl. The character I've been has been a boy. So I need to make that. I've got the fluffy fabric. I need to make an axe and stuff. Don't know if I'm going to make a dragon. Sometimes it's nice just making bits enough to make the character work, and then add on more props as you go along convention back. And I also want to do Dark Link. So which would just basically be me. It's going to take forever. Making another sword, another shield, another costume, but all dark. and evil. I've got my red contact lenses. Hooray!
It's funny that you should say that you're going to be doing Astrid, because that is one cosplay that a lot of people have said to me I should do. I should, like, not Astrid, but Hiccup.
Yeah. Hiccup, yeah. I was going to say, you'd make a good Hiccup.
Yeah, like, everybody keeps saying that to me, and they're like, your personality is very much like his. You stammer half the time, and I'm like...
If you want it, some people are like, oh, who should I cosplay? I'm like, cosplay someone you actually like. Someone who really, you're like, yeah! Otherwise, you're not going to want to do it.
The only thing is, I would need to get a toothless plushie in order to do him, because I don't have a I don't have one.
Oh!
I don't have a toothless plushie.
That is sad, and you need one. Alternatively, borrow someone's cat. Just find a local black cat in the area with green eyes, and staple some wings to it. Be like, yay! I'm gonna do this. Okay, maybe not staple. It's just glue. Glue comes off again, right?
This cat is slightly irritated that I dyed its full fur black and added wings to it and gave it contact lenses.
Start with.
It's also slightly irritated that I've kidnapped it for the day.
It's fine. Just give lots of meow mix. It'll be fine.
Okay, so
don't do that. Don't do that, cats, people. No.
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 Do not ever take animals. Do not take animals to conventions, because it never goes well.
No.
I've known people who wanted to take animals to the conventions, and the animals have decided otherwise. They've said, no, I'm a diva.
Well, I've seen people with sort of service dogs, and
yes,
there was the infamous story of some crazy person trying to kick this dog, or I think he even succeeded. The police were involved and all sorts. You're like, why? Why does that happen? Why do you think it's okay to come to a convention and kick someone's dog?
People are strange.
Yeah.
So my last question is for you. Oh my God, we're at the last question.
We are. Good timing as well, because I got to go.
Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody who is new to cosplay but doesn't know where to start?
Best thing to
Sorry.
That's right. No, you're coughing. I'm coughing. Best thing to do is find a character that you really, really like. So the reason I did Link was because I've always loved Legend of Zelda, and I grew up with it. So Ocarina of Time was when I was a child, I think, and it was a very innocent and pure part of my life, which all of the sort of the darkness of what happened, none of that, it couldn't touch it at all. So it was this really lovely, pure, warm, happy place, which I went back to. And that kept me going through the dark days of where I'm there going, I just can't sew straight, and I can't do this, and I can't do that, and this sword isn't working, and oh my God, what am I doing? It will carry you through that, and you'll push through. Because if it's someone like, oh, you look like such and such, you should do it, and you'll be like, oh, I suppose I could, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. It's not going to really carry you through where you're like, I just can't make it work. So find someone that you really, really love doing, and look at what skills you have, and if you haven't got them, learn them. The internet is a fantastic place. Google is your friend. There's so many websites and YouTube things that will show you how to do things. And if you don't know how to do something, ask a cosplayer that you know who does. Don't expect them to be like, yes, this is how you do it, and open up like a textbook and spend years teaching you how to do it. They should give you some pointers and take that advice on and go. And also prepare to fail.
Definitely.
Prepare to fail. You were going to screw something up somehow, somewhere. And whether it's in making it, whether it's on the convention floor, it's all right. So, yeah.
And then the last thing that I'm just going to add to that is, guys, have fun when you're doing cosplay. That is the most important thing to do, is have fun. Whether it's going through the hell of making the costume, essentially you will have fun. Whether it's staying awake to 2 a.m. the morning before a convention, or the morning you're going to a convention sewing things, you know who you are, that person.
I know who that is too.
Yeah. In their hotel room sewing things. Have fun. Yeah. But unfortunately, that is the end of our interview, guys. I'd like to thank Tinufel for taking the time out and spending it with us. So thank you very, very much. If you have any questions for me or Tinufel, you can put them, I think. Look, Tinufel, look, there's like a comment section down there. Just like down there. If you have a question for me or Tinufel, we will happily try and answer it as much as we can. Equally, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. And also do click the subscribe button to be notified about all the content that's going on this channel,
Don't know where to
where
subscribe.
I do a little bit of gaming for some various games. You can catch up with them. Also, there is a brand new series on the channel, which is called Behind the Mask. If you want to know more about that, do go and watch the first interview, which is up. And it's a really cool interview, guys. We've worked really, really hard and really, really fortunate to get all the people we did for that series. However, if you want to check out more cosplay interviews, there should be a playlist somewhere on my channel where you can find some people like Alphabeti, Kobe Kicks, Little Rascal, Chris Villain, multitude of other cosplayers. But however, if you cannot get enough of me for whatever reason, you can find me on this wonderful website, iGameOnline.net, like it is up there in Tinufel's poster, where you can catch up with us on our Facebook and our YouTube channel, where we do multiple different shows like tabletop games with the lovely Faye and the wonderful Whisper, and multiple other things as well. We've got a host of different shows happening on the website itself. But if you're just into the cosplay stuff and you want to catch up with some of the cosplayers, you can check out the NUK part of the site, where you can catch up with Kobe Kicks, Little Rascal, Alphabeti, and of course the wonderful Tinufel.
Yep.
But
I'm a ringer. I'm from the south.
Lastly, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Tinufel, but you don't feel too confident about typing it in on the YouTubes, Tinufel is hopefully going to give us some wonderful social media links where we can get a hold of her directly if we need to. So Tinufel, where can we get a hold of you if we have any further questions?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter that much. I'm kind of new to it. I'm on Instagram as well. So yeah, I've got loads of stuff there. I do some tutorials and things.
So is it at Tinufel on Facebook,
It's
Twitter?
at Tinufel Cosplay on Facebook. Twitter's at Tinufel. Instagram is Tinufel_cosplay. I don't know why I put an underscore in that one. I should have just done Tinufel Cosplay. I think that's it.
And your YouTube?
YouTube is currently, it's just Tinufel Cosplay, I think, but it's like a long code thing because I haven't got enough subscribers to be more than just a really random long. So you can't type it in. If you search for it, it'll come up.
That's fine. Now, don't worry, guys, if you miss any of those wonderful social media links, they will be in the description of this video. And you can go along and support Tinufel. Please do so because she's amazing.
I'm a big derp.
Big derp, but amazing.
I'm a big crafting derp. I love to do my fails from workbench as well. Sometimes I do some really good ones.
She is very amazing, guys, so do go along and support her. And like I said, support this channel as well. And we will be back with another interview really soon. Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye!